Good afternoon and welcome to Saturday Afternoon Sport, where first up we have SA NFL and it's the opening round for 1995. Today our cameras are out at Elizabeth Oval for the match between Central District and Norwood. Both teams were finalists last year, Central finishing one spot ahead of Norwood in third. So for both sides, the opportunity is there to start the season on a high and put out the challenge to trendsetters Port Adelaide and the Eagles. Time to cross to your host for the afternoon now, and it's hello to Neville Roberts.
Thanks very much, Karen, and welcome to ABC Football 95. Again, we're in downtown Elizabeth today. Yes, and what a great day it is. A little overcast, but very warm in this giant arena here at Elizabeth. I can guarantee you from experience will really test the fitness these teams had over the summer. Norwood, they were finished last year in fifth spot, knocked out by the Dogs by 4 points in a semi-final. And the Dogs in that fantastic clash with Port Adelaide, extra time it went to in the qualifying final. They too were knocked out, but they finished third, the best under Alan Stewart. So Norwood haven't won here since '83. In fact, I'll join David Mackay into the show on the boundary line. Welcome, David, and I actually played in that game in '83.
Actually, Neville, if my recollection's right, I think, isn't that the game you kicked 100 goals in? I think you kicked, or your 100th goal, you kicked 10 in that match, and Norwood won the game. I
told you to also say that I got best on ground in that game, David. You forgot a bit of it.
You didn't feed me. No, I remember that game well, but the thing that worries me today is whether or not Norwood have got a player who can kick 10 goals in a match to win a game out here. Centrals haven't been beaten, as you said, by Norwood out here since 1983. It's a fair old record, and I just worry about how the Redlegs will play this ground.
Well, it's a difficult game, and when we talk to Michael Ace a little later, I'm sure he's got a few stories about why it's a difficult ground for other teams to come out here. But David, the Dogs go in without Windsor, Lewis and their new recruit Wind, and if you add Ingerson to that group, all back in the side, pretty powerful big man team.
I think that's the thing about Centrals. They haven't really lost anyone over the summer, and they haven't really recruited well, but they've lost nobody of real note. Actually, down on the boundary with me, Neville, is the Central District General Manager, Chris Grant. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks, David. Thank you very much. Welcome to everybody to Elizabeth Oval.
Terrific crowd out here today. Your supporters really get behind you.
Yes, we're pretty enthusiastic about it, and the live telecast, I think, has promoted it well.
Well, I think you did pretty well last year in the finals. You finally won a final after 20-odd years. It must have been heartbreaking for the club when Daisy Ball A's kicked that point, levelled the scores, then Malacallis and Hodges kicked winning goals, and you were bundled out.
I can assure you, David, that the boys are hurting over that loss, and they're going to look to do the right thing this year.
Two ways to go, isn't it? They can drop their bundle and fall in a hole, or they can really dig in and fight. And it looks, according to Alan Stewart, that they're going to dig in and really fight.
No, they're a very tight group this year, David, and they're really looking forward to 1995.
Now, financially, the club's on a reasonable ground. You lost money the year before last, 80-odd, 100-odd grand. It was a big loss. How did you go this year?
No, we we came about square over the year, but we're really looking forward to a good year this year. The sponsorship's up, the membership's up, and so there's a really good feeling around the club.
How many poker machines have you got in?
We've got 40, and they're doing very well.
So there's plenty of money around?
I wouldn't say plenty of money, but we're doing well.
Looking to make a comeback, there'd be a bit of money for me?
Well, it's interesting with the influx of the AFL recruits to Adelaide this year that, there's a fair bit of money being paid this year.
Tell us, how do you see your role then? Because clearly the SANFL clubs are going to change tack this year. You're going to have to cut down a lot of costs that you were able to spend before. You're going to have to economise. How do you go about that?
Well, I think we've just got to keep our eye on the budget, and as long as you do that, I think you'll be right.
Now, what you talked about memberships, what are we talking in numbers?
Yes, we're probably up about 300 or 400 members, plus the additional 1,000 gaming machine members.
Now, what about player contracts? Have you signed all players to long-term contracts?
No, we only do 1 year here, David. We feel that's the best way to go, and the players are happy with that.
Well, what about Alan Stewart, the coach? How long have you got him tied up for?
This is his 5th year, and again, we'll sit down at the end of the year and have a look at it.
All right, well, what's the longer-term game plan then for Centrals? Last year, you were looking to not give away the club, but you were happy to let the ground and the facilities become an AFL venue. Now you're really fighting for your life.
Well, I think the fact of giving away the club wasn't quite right. It was something that we thought might be good for SANFL footy. However, Port Adelaide have got the AFL licence, so we're about to represent the community up here and do as well as we can. OK,
Chris, good luck this year. You'd be pretty confident you'll do well and finish perhaps a little higher than you did last year.
Thanks, David.
All right, Neville, back to you.
Thanks, David, and Chris Grant, one of the friendly men out of the SANFL. And one thing you never hear from Elizabeth is financial troubles. They've been well administered ever since they came into the competition back in the 60s. And Chris Grant, been here a long time and doing a fantastic job David, these two sides met 4 times last year, and the most memorable of which was at Football Park in that 4-point break in the first semi-final. But they met in rounds 2, 11 and 20 as well.
Really had a pretty good record. Norwood improved late last year. You might remember they really did struggle in the early part of the season. They settled down and played some great football. I think Alan Stewart, on the other hand, played a pretty consistent year. I think they were well rewarded for their place in the finals, but it was a shame given that their strength was terrific. They played in the night final against the Eagles and did very well, and I said last night on our coverage that other than inaccurate kicking for goal, I think they could have beaten the Eagles in that night grand final. Now, I go back a few years. I think we had to go back to Darryl Hicks's time when they played off in the finals, and you go back right back to about 71, 72 when they finished third again. So they've had near success, but they've never really gone the ultimate way.
David, 3 out of 4, Norwood lost to the Dogs last year, but concentrate more on the Dogs and their success in the finals. I mean, people say they broke through, but third with a team that was probably should have beaten Port Adelaide, who went on to win a flag. Do you reckon they've shaken whatever it is, the hopes in finals?
I really do. I think Alan Stewart's brought a new toughness to this club. There was a lot of criticism even in their club paper today that they've been issuing at the ground. They've talked about the softness of some players over the last 6 or 7 years, and they're saying that that doesn't exist around the club today, and that's a pretty good attitude to take when your supporters are acknowledging that you're a tough outfit, when your players know what's expected. And I think that's the thing that Alan Stewart has brought. He's brought a real degree of honesty and integrity and a real tough football team, and when it gets tough they dig in, and I think if a lot of other clubs could take that attitude, they do very, very well. And Alan Stewart's a renowned junior coach, so he's brought up some good kids. He's implemented Ray Windsor and a couple of recruits like those fellas, and they've done very well also.
Yes, and I take your point there, David. Alan Stewart, whilst he didn't come in with a high profile when he took the job on, he certainly has brought some education to the club, and he's managed the Crows Central relationship very, very well. And indeed, they're a very tough unit. Let's have a look at David. Some scenes from the first semi-final last year, that 94 clash in which the Dogs got over the top of Norwood.
Bulldogs needing Potter, Girder, McGowan to fire. Potter goes long towards the half-forward line, and a great mark there by Chopper Handley. They need him to fire, normally good for 2 or 3 goals. On the lead, McKinnon's run down from the half-back flank and taken it 35 metres out directly in front. Should have no problems in kicking this game with the wind towards the goal. And Central's notch up the first goal. Yeah, Primus again gets over the top. Patterson again for the 3rd time this quarter. Quick kick on to Lachlan Bowman, and he takes the mark. Getting back quickly, Norwood streaming down. Matthew Robin on a lead. Beautiful kick. And that's a great grab by Matthew Robin. That's the movement that Norwood need at the moment. David Burns getting back there, running onto it. Beautiful game last week. Picks it up. Moves on, got no one to kick it to. Handballs to Dan Tokia. He's smothered. On to Dolan. Burns running on, beautiful handball again. Good work, Norwood. They bring on the outer wing, up to Bowman. Bowman bodied out beautifully by Arnold.
It's finals football. McGowan to centre half forward. Out on the lead, Reimers beautifully taken. He leapt out in front of Stevie Daniels and right on the 50-metre line has taken the mark. So Reimers will kick from 50. He's a penetrating kick. What breeze there is will be at his back. Distance won't be a problem, right with the accuracy. The Bulldogs are off to a good start.
They go over the top again. Good tap forward. Swert in there, overruns it. Good work by Daniels. Out to Bassett. Bassett can't control it. Onto Lurs. Lurs to McGowan again. Snaps and has hit the post.
A left footer, a long ball. Cowan was the target over his head. Robin, perhaps the kick was for Robin, but just short. Pitt missed it. Oh, claimed beautifully in the goal square underneath that. Cowan gets it on the left, and he gets the red legs first.
Potter picks it up. McGowan fumbles, manages to get hold of it again. On to Ellis, and Ellis has a shot for goal, and he's put it through, and that's his first.
Chopper Handley at the back, or this is Abbott, correction, to Stevens. Stevens with the run at half forward, chips it in short. McKinnon from half back. They're running from everywhere, the Bulldogs. He can go long to goals. It's coming around, it's coming around. Gets shepherded through by Richardson. It's a goal. To Dan Tokia, now a pivotal role. Goes long to centre half forward. They need a lift from that position. Underneath this one, Irvin, the loose ball, feeds it off to Patterson, around the corner to Robin, in space, Robin's got it, he can run into the unprotected goal, and that's what the Redlegs need.
On to Burns. Burns drives to the centre wing now. Central just a beautiful grab by Fleming. Fleming moves it on to Cowan. Cowan sidesteps Girdham. Back to Fleming. They're making hard work of it. Back to Cowan. He's got no one. He's running himself into trouble. The big kick. Who's there for Norwood? Pitt in the right position, but it goes past. Oh, here's a chance. Robin Pitt. He's got time. Oh, well, he's got the free kick hanging on. Burns on top of it. He's swamped by Central. It's on to Barm. Barm will get it out. Davies punches it. Herrera gets hold of it. Beautifully sliced it onto Stevens. On to Abbott. Abbott, they've got the run now on to Ellis through the centre. They could be run down. Lewis has got it. On to Ellis again. Here's the chance for them. He's got no one to kick it to. Toombs is dropping back. He's going to get there. Oh, he hasn't. Well, he hasn't missed. He's misjudged that.
Davey with superior pace in front of Schwert. Around the corner to Scotty Burns. A long ball, a high one. Back under it. Primus sets himself and Pitt's got it in front of Wakeland. So Stevie Pitt, who's kicked 2 already, really set himself under pressure.
He shouldn't have any problems in putting through his 3rd major. Oh! He's kicked it out of bounds on the full.
Bassett at halfback with the loose ball, hurries it around the corner. Oh, great grab! Look at that grab, Healy, and he played on in the one motion. It was almost unbelievable, but he did it. What terrific skills. Lures now handballs inboard, and Girdham over the top. Richardson gets the benefit of the handball that he didn't give moments ago. Goes into the open goal and gets it. Look at Girdham, disciplined son. Richardson was going out, he was going to attack Burns.
Miller goes for a beautifully read off hands by Cowan. Now he's got space, could give it off. Kicks towards the full forward, Pitt behind again. Wakeland doing a great job. Spoils it to Hanley. Bassett, fantastic stuff. Gets it back and cleverly kicks that through. That is fine work by the youngster.
Dantoki around the corner. Into space goes Pitt. Couldn't quite claim it on. Fleming, nicely done. Over the top to Robin. Put that one down to Fleming. He did the hard work. Did it nicely. Controlled the ball.
Irvin kicked 5 last week. Showing some talent. 4 it was. And a beautiful kick. Fleming. They need him to fire. They need to get a couple of quick ones, the legs. The kick is good. It's straight. They needed it badly, the legs. That might spark them. Runs 30 metres and kicks it long. In front, Miller. Good catch. They need to move it on quickly. He's got Fleming in space and behind him, Robrin. The latter will jump, so will the former. Punched away, a charge. Irving, he's a left footer. He's on the wrong side. He'll run it all the way with pace. What's he done? They're on the way back to legs, and Irving sparks them again. Loose ball, they need the numbers. Bowman, like a rover, loses it up to Reimers. Went behind him, beautifully dodged around Davey. Desperate football from the legs. A charge now for Cook. Doesn't panic, and puts it up high. Beautiful take, Handley. He's got to pay him.
Nathan Bassett calling it it's hit the deck, but Hanley using the experience. And he's put it through.
Rack throw in. A loose ball down. Burns. Oh, did well to give up a handball. He was swamped by 3 Central players. Barm gives it to Burns into the open goal. Burns has got it. Well, look at this. We're back to 2 goals the difference, and the Redlegs are on the run. Cowan threw that one out. Patterson, a hurried kick. It was smothered. It comes to Burns. It wasn't smothered. So it was just an ugly mongrel kick.
30 metres out.
10 kicks and 10 handballs make that 11 kicks, and his 11th kick has gone through for a goal. So the margin now, instead of 11 points, is back to 5. Burns is out there, and Irvin, who was so very good last week but really has struggled in the first half this week, has come alive in this final term. Pushes it along to Miller, staying at home now at centre-half forward rather than playing downfield. He drives it long, Pitt's the target, Pitt's underneath it, sets himself from behind the spoil from Wakeland. Potter missed it. Windsor kicked it off the ground. It comes to Davey. He feeds it back to Tubes. Tubes from fullback and kicked it like a fullback. 1 point. A goal there would have put them in front. And the sirens out. Alan Stewart finally wins the Bulldog final. Their first since 1972. The monkey's off his back for Alan Stewart. And the Bulldogs win a final. Only the 3rd coach to take them to a victory in a final. And what a great moment for Alan Stewart and his Bulldogs.
Yeah, some good scenes there for Alan Stewart. Not so good for Neil Craig. Alan Stewart in his 4th year this year with the Dogs. The best was last year, he finished 3rd. Neil Craig is in his 5th year. The best he had was a grand final in '92, and the Bays beat him in that. As I said, he's in his 5th year. Here they both are now.
I rated our performance last season as satisfactory, in line with the progress that the club has made over the last 3 or 4 years. And to play 3 finals, I think, was a learning experience for everybody.
Our performance last year, I guess from mid-year onwards, our performance certainly picked up. And as a club, we were reasonably happy with the way we finished off. Certainly we'd be looking at going further in the finals in 1995.
Well, I think Central District need to change their style of football a little bit, be more direct, hit the key spots a little bit better at centre half forward and full forward. And I believe that our style of football needs to be more orientated to an aggressive style of football.
No, there'll be no real changes to our game plan. What we've been able to do from a recruiting point of view is bolster the playing ranks, and we would expect our greater number of first-year players from last year to take the next level, take a step to the next level. So I guess from a playing depth point of view and maturity, we would be expecting improvements in those areas.
Player losses have been minimal, really. Robert Hanley's gone to the Riverland, Brendan Robertson's gone back to country New South Wales, and basically that's the only losses that we've had.
Oh, well, I guess losses, and you know, when you talk about players of the calibre of Patterson and Burns, are always difficult to cover, but the bottom line is every club has those losses, so we're no different than any other football club.
Peter Green's a lad we picked up from Carlton's reserves side and played 1 senior game. He'll add to our on-ball depth. Mark Conway's a big tall lad from the New South Wales country that will add to the rucking department and also the forward department. And Sean Chambers, a young boy that played at North Adelaide some years ago, has got some chance as a rover.
Well, the recruits that we've been able to attract to the footy club, I guess realistically to this point in time, are recruits. Until they actually play a league game, it's very hard to say whether that recruiting campaign has been successful. But basically, the majority of the players have come to us as on-ball type of players, which is an area we really need to strengthen up.
Well, basically, we look at it as a team performance from everybody, but obviously Simon Lurs 2 years ago had a very good season for us at centre half forward, and I think that he's in for a good season. We'll be looking for Simon to play very well. Our on-ball division, Roger Gurdon again is a very key to our style of football. Craig Potter's a leader with his example. I think Stephen Swert adds another dimension, a little bit more flexibility to our club.
No, Gary McIntosh, he's overcome his ankle injury, and his performance in the trials to this point in time have been outstanding. So the club would be looking for a big year from Gary, and with Richard Kelly coming back from injury, and Jerry Dantoccia as our deputy vice captain, the senior players, in conjunction with Kim Russell and Craig Baum, they're there from a leadership point of view and to set the example.
Well, Norwood Football Club, we've found them that to play Norwood you have to be out there, play with the footy all the time and apply a lot of pressure to the ball carrier. If you do that successfully and you can work off the ball coming loose and attacking from there, we've done reasonably well in the past against them. But it needs to be an overall team performance, and you need to be in at them hard all the time.
The game plan is to go to Elizabeth and win the game, which we haven't been able to do as a football club for over 10 years. So it's very clear what our goal is, and it's a very important game, obviously for both clubs, but certainly to win at Centrals is a huge motivation for the Norwood Footy Club.
Yes, indeed. 10 years, 1983, since Norwood were able to win here at Elizabeth. Well, I'm almost embarrassed to go to the next segment. I've got a couple of what look like old rock stars on the boundary line in Michael H. and Stephen Trigg. Oh, you've shed the glasses. They've tricked me. They had a couple of very cool sunglasses on earlier. Not happy with them, boys?
Yes, Neville, we got rid of them. We just thought we'd be playing Jones today, but the atmosphere out here, Neville, is electric. Both sides on the ground at the moment and looking forward to a great tussle. My sparring partner here in Stephen Trigg, and Stephen, it should be a good game.
Should be a wonderful game. The Norwood line-up, they've got that Pieri boy at full forward. They reckon he's lost 20 kilograms. Well, we saw him go at the race, Michael, and he does look like he's shed a few.
Well, he's lost a few bits and he's looking to have a good year. And when you look at their side, really the centre line is the key to the game today. And James, McIntosh and Russell really have to take control on the centre.
They've still got plenty of ability, there's no doubt about that, despite a few losses. They've recruited from all over the place. We hear that Norwood have won the toss. They've got Jonathan Toombs. That spine looks all right. Jonathan Toombs, Jason Miller, McIntosh in the middle, and I think one of the keys, Michael, Jonathan Ross at centre-half forward.
Without doubt, Jonathan Ross, a bad year last year with industry, but coming back from the Crows, looking forward to a good year. And also Stephen Rowe, again, reconstruction last year, would be looking to have a good year. And two of their recruits on the interchange bench this year in Fletcher and Harvey. So we haven't seen them yet, but they'll be looking for a good game.
And of course, Central District haven't won out here since 1983. You enjoyed coming out here all the time?
Well, we've had some good times and some bad times out here, more bad, but 1983, as Neville said, was the last time Norwood won, and well, I can just see them getting up, being the first game of the season.
Central District love playing out here. Their line-up today has a couple of new chums. They've got Mark Conway from Wagga, who's lining up in a forward pocket. I can tell you the side's very different to what was published in the press this morning. Peter Green's lining up at half-back, and they've got Anthony Eggerson at centre-half forward, and a bit of a surprise, Mike, to have Damien Arnold, I reckon, at centre-half forward.
Yes, well, they've got plenty of options, really, the dogs, Stephen, and one thing that might surprise is Harada, who's had such a great year last year. If Norwood can't fire with Fleming at centre-half forward, they might have to make a few changes.
Yeah, and I hear that Harada's just a little underdone. His trial form's been a little off the pace. They've announced that he's co-vice captain of the club this year with Stephen Schwert, who was my tip, incidentally, for an early favourite for the McGarry medal. And of course Roger Girdham, the captain again, so there's some prime movers.
Well, they've had such a good year last year with on-ballers. Again, McGowan, similar to the Bays. Those guys, if they get hold of the footy, will tear any side apart.
Well, McGowan's the one who gets an abundance of kicks through the midfield, and they rely on him to generate some opportunities. Potter will be ruck roving, of course, with Stephen Schwert. Roger Girdham's in the roving division, so it looks pretty good for the Doggies.
Well, they've got plenty of options again, and they've got Lewis, for instance, had a bad year last year through injury, but came back and was a key for them at centre forward.
And Neville, I know you have travelled out here a few times. It's a fair ponderosa out here. It's 500 metres from one end to the other. It takes a lot of coverage.
Yes, it did, and the older I got, the harder it got. I needed people to chase and collect the footy for me, but Michael Ace, we'll just go back to you. Ace used to want to forfeit if we were far enough up the premiership ladder rather than come out to Elizabeth. But Michael, the ABC have gone to a lot of trouble with these new shirts, and they don't need to be abused by putting biros in your top pocket. Now straighten yourself up and get that biro out of there. Go on, that's it.
I was going to wear the VB sponsorship shirt, but got told to take that off.
Give us a tip, Ace.
Pardon?
Give us a tip today. Who's your choice?
Well, Norwood just, but it's going to be tough for them. They have to get off to a good start.
And Stephen Trigg?
I think probably my tip would be with the home side today, Neville.
Good on you. Okay, well, thanks. Thanks, boys. And we're not far off starting what is the second part of round one. Your commentators today are Michael Ace, Stephen Trigg, and to take up the commentary, the great David Mackay.
Thanks, Rocky. Kevin Chambers at centre field with the ball, about to put this match into motion. Primus, the ruckman for the Redlegs, will come from the right. Coffey rucking for Centrals from the left. 6 games last year to Coffey. Really did struggle. Alan Stewart's shown great faith in him at the start of this year. McIntosh gets the first kick of the game. Finally, the ball comes out quickly underneath that one. Getting a kick away was Bassett. It goes forward. Missing it was Justin Casserly. Finally, it's left to a Raider. He gets it out to Scotty Stevens. The handball comes over the top. Pyman works it out with Stevens. They're fiddling around with a handball. They really did need a kick there. Pyman's there. Well done. Good work on that occasion. Roger James forces the ball across and will have a throw in. Well, to set the scene, a good crowd. Conditions are fine. Slightly overcast. A little bit of sun. And what wind there is, we believe, is favouring the end to which Norwood are kicking. Ruck infringement, Primus. His form in the trials has apparently been terrific. Goes a long ball to Pieri. Big man was Ross taking front position. Finally, this time, the opportunity through Wakeland. Gets the kick wide. Arnold, first man out there. Miller in pursuit of him. Arnold concedes ground, gets it back to McGowan. A high stat. Girdham's under this one, but oh, well done, Miller. Stood his ground, the big man, took the ball. Girdham stole it away. Inboard he comes to Casserly. Look at the little stocky player. Drills the kick forward. And underneath that one and taking the mark was Adam Richardson. The club's leading goal kicker last season. He kicked 82, but there wasn't much behind him, by the way. Chopper Handley got amongst a few, but very few other players. Now McGowan, Cook, throws a handball forward. Ingerson stole it away, punched it forward to Schwert. That could have been construed as a throw. Good work by Davey, the former Eagle player who spent last year with the Redlegs. And this is the new recruit. Have a good look at him. Peter Green, recruited from Carlton Reserves. And they say that he's tough as nails, and certainly that was a solid mark. Loose ball comes to ground. Good work over the top of it. Dale Fleming goes short. Ross the mark at centre half forward. Too far out to score. But he kicks up a high ball. And underneath this one is Pieri. Dumped away by Reimers. Loose ball comes to Rowe. Recovered from that knee reconstruction around the corner. A high ball. And thumped forward. Reimers concedes the boundary line, and there'll be a throw-in. Sorry, Rock, we needed to give you time to get set up and into the commentary.
Very happy with to get a breather. It's a bit of a rush this morning, and after last night, all of us still catching our breath with Port Adelaide just capitulating to the Tigers. Out of the ruck with a chance now was Pascoe through the centre of the through the ground, Miller, and with him Arnold. With the ball, Roger James, centre of the ground, has a look. Couple of leads on. Pieri was one. He's gone past him. He's got Pitt at the back, but it's all the Dogs. Pitt with a chance. How did he get that? Into the goal and offline. Pretty skillful piece of work, Asian.
Good work by Stephen Pitt. One tends to relax a little bit. He isn't a four-quarter player at this stage, but Roger James, the brother of Brett James, now playing for Collingwood, has had a marvellous pre-season, and Norwood looking for big things from him.
Pitt, who was asked to nominate for the AFL draft and didn't. He is a policeman here in South Australia, and at this stage doesn't want to know about the AFL draft. Desperate players over it. Coffey, number 2. Wouldn't it be great to see Coffey have the sort of season that he has promised?
Well, Grant Coffey, another bit similar to Stephen Pitt, really has got all of the skills, but really just can't get four-quarter of the football going.
In ruck, Primus and Coffey. Dead heat that one. Loose ball falls to Girdham. The skipper goes over the top of it. Ross came through. Wakeland did well to crash through and force the error. But I like this fellow, 54, Chris Pyman. He's as tough as nails. He reminds me a lot of Mark Pryor, who used to play on a half-back flank for the Bulldogs. Not much size about him, but he's tough.
Throw in forward pocket opportunity on that occasion for Ross. This is Girdham. Pitt too high. Surely a free kick, not given. Close to the boundary line. Russell's there, so too is Stevens. And Ross, they couldn't possibly count on having him all year, David.
Well, a lot depends with the Crows, of course, and his own form, but I think the Crows have a very exciting squad this year. I think they've done very good in terms of sorting it out, and Ross is a player who'd be high in contention. Desperate football, and this is not unlike the early stages of last night's game against Port Adelaide and Glenelg. There's tough players at the body, but this is an important game for both clubs to win. It's vital that they win the first of the season.
Conditions will play a very important part. Both teams very fit, obviously had good pre-seasons, and telling factor will be in that last term.
Opportunity now for Stevens. Did well to keep control of it. He's a skillful player. McGowan through the centre of the ground. Oh, unloaded unmercifully. Dantokia there. Opportunity, hands and knees. Miller. Plenty of players around the ball, as desperate as you like. That was Cook. Stevens over centre half forward. The kick is an absolute shocker. And sitting at the back, doing it pretty easy, was Stephen Daniels. Goes wide and has Kim Russell got run. No trouble through Cook. Centre wing. It's a big ground as it takes an enormous time to get the ball through the centre. And Girdham playing on the footy in defence. He's a tough competitor. And Stephen Rowe, maybe just a little bit enthusiastic about holding up play.
Umpires get too sucked in with free kicks now. That never was a 15 or 25 metre penalty.
Comment Michael Ace, a high ball comes. Ingerson crashed out towards it. Bassett was there. This is Schwert. Gets the handball inboard to Tim Cook. Now, Tim Cook has got blood over his left eye, but that was a training accident. I think Miller opened it up moments ago. A high ball from Toombs, dumped forward to Miller. Taken away by McIntosh. On the left boot, he goes to the far side. The runner out there is Anthony Harvey. Now, this is brother of Mark Harvey, or Robert Harvey, from St Kilda. He's got a ton of pace, I'm told, and they're hopeful that he'll have a big year. A woeful kick inboard. This gives McGowan the run of the ball. On the left boot, he goes short. He's put it out in front of Ingerson. It'll bounce just in front of Anthony. It was half a throw. Cook came through. Smallridge did well to hold his ground. Now Miller. They're running Dantokia, last year's best and fairest. Back to McIntosh, who came second. Back to Smallridge, who had last year off football completely and was living in Western Australia. He goes forward, but it's a Bulldog mark, and it's Hugh Reimers deep in defence for the Bulldogs.
Reimers, cool as you like, to Coffey. They know how to play this ground pretty well. Stevens. Smallridge late. Oh, opportunity at centre half forward. Went begging for Stevens. A chance now for Schwert. Plays on. What a prolific kick getter he is. Ingerson. Big jump. Eyes off the footy. Rogers puts it up. Cook goes backwards. Girdham. McGowan. He'll use it. Always does.
Beautiful vision, or hanging on. David Mackay thought it was. Wasn't paid. Beautiful piece of work by Conway. Opportunity, Cook off the ground. What do you reckon about that? Opens his score. The Dogs are away at Elizabeth.
Good work by Tim Cook. The Dogs were just pushing the ball through. Very fumbly play at the moment. But you've got Girdham, Captain Courageous. He's always in there getting the ball out. Tim Cook followed on very well. Kicked it off the ground. Could have probably gloved it. But he knocks up Central's first.
Well, no blood rule in the SANFL. Of course, if you're in the AFL and you've got blood streaming from a cut like that, you do have to go off. Back at the bounce. Centrals lead 1 goal to nothing. Smallridge. Now Rowe. Just regaining pace and form after that knee reconstruction. Handballs it out to Russell, but look at the pace of Stevens. He streams away with it. New haircut. Cut both hairs, and it's a good mark taken behind Adam Richardson. So the Bulldogs are building. Now, where's the movement now? Ingerson was held. Now he breaks free, gets clear and leads. Beautifully done, Ingerson. He had Daniels all over him, but he broke free, made the lead and called for the ball.
Having a look at the replay, Norwood run-on players have to get back and fill in that gap to give Daniels some chance.
Ingerson will kick for goal from 50 metres. It's a long ball, it'll lob right in the square. The pack flies, fist away, comes loose ball to ground. James overran it, that could be a costly mistake. Coming in was Green, but it was chopped off by Toombs. Jonathan Toombs goes wide to Davey. Davey led beautifully and marks in front of Casserly.
Davey, off he goes, plays on quickly. He wants Ross over the back. Big jump was Green. And Jonathan Ross, a brilliant athlete. A lot of future in AFL football. Just getting his size and strength together. It takes a while for bigger men to their motor skills and growth and so on. Not that I'm an expert in physiology, but I've always noticed that...
it's a footy fact, Rock.
I don't know, they're a bit gangly at the 19s and 20s, but they just take a little bit longer. But once they get their size and strength, like, say, Pittman has and so on, they can dominate a game. Here's the kick. Through to centre half forward. Big jump, Coffey. Sitting behind was Wakeland. Opportunity, Pyman. Pit all over him. Absolutely ran him into the ground. Free kick, and he knows he's done a pretty poor effort. Eagles live on ABC TV.
Oh, the Eagles trailing North Adelaide at Football Park by 6 points. Many people, of course, expecting the Roosters to do pretty well this year. The Eagles decimated by AFL recruiting. This is Coffey. It's been a good battle so far with Primus. Both players getting a fair bit of the ball. A long ball. Schwert was underneath it. Finger tipped it forward. Kicking off the ground and doing pretty well out there. Just trying to pick up that player. It was Green. David Green. Now in defence. The Redlegs go forward. They seem to be able to run it out, the Redlegs, but their forward options aren't that great. Oh. Smother, beautifully done. Over the top of the ball. This is Carlton's Green. Gives it back. McGowan had the kick smothered. Beautifully done, Rowe. Rowe streams away with a high ball into the forward line. Pitt will need to fly at this one. He didn't even have an attempt at that. It was just a sloppy one-hander in the finish. Pyman delivers it out wide. Underneath this one, Green again. David type, gets clear. Did pretty well. He's a solid player. Arnold Miller. Hasn't he beefed up? This is Scott Robinson, back from the Sydney Swans. Girdham crashed through, now applies the tackle on James. Back to Robinson, and Robinson forward to half forward. Oh, was missed comprehensively. Fleming should have swallowed that. Now a loose ball flies clear. Davey, Fleming. Fleming up 50, bends it around the corner. It's a high ball. Now Reimers will sit underneath this with Pieri, and Pieri with strength. Almost took the mark, but it's stolen away by Harada.
Harada, key defender. Looks upfield, plenty of time. But the kick didn't match his time, and Green, who's played pretty well, sees it out of bounds.
David Norwood getting plenty of the football at the moment, but really just banging it in, giving Pieri and Ross really no opportunity.
Gee, I agree with that, Michael. They just don't seem to be pinpointing a player. They're just bombing it in and giving their forwards no chance. This is Girdham at the bottom of the pack. Gives it out. Russell stole it away, but Green applied the tackle for too long, said the umpire. And Russell, oh no. Oh, well, I think he went the wrong way. He said you held on too long, and then he gave it back the other way. Worked that out. McGowan with the free kick off the ball it was. And Miller certainly throwing everything at the ball.
Had a reasonable season last year, Jason Millett, at centre-half forward, mainly at centre-half back, and should be in for a good year.
Well, he started the season late. He didn't do a full pre-season, and that did have some effect on his early season's performances. Oh, crashing through and doing well was Richardson. He forced the error. Bassett gives it off quickly to Anthony Harvey, who in turn has the runner in row. He's looking more confident. A long ball, a direct ball this time. Fleming from behind. Wakeland spoils. Green slipped over at the inopportune time. It rebounds up. Fleming gives it off to Davey in the overlap on the run. The left footer, it should have gone short to Pieri. Pieri was on the lead, but Davey went long and scores only a behind. Oh no, it's out of bounds. It hit the point post. So a throw in. 1 metre around from the Norwood goals.
One goal only, the Dogs. Not a lot of scoring. 12 or 13 minutes in first quarter. Rowe over the ball, does that well, pops one towards the sticks, and Norwood 1 point. So they've opened their account. And Michael, you'd remember this ground. It, as a run-on player, it could be quite exhausting if you don't measure your day.
I didn't have too many big days out here, Neville,
Trevor
latter
Rowe.
part of the career, but great able to play football.
Yeah, I was pretty disappointed in your performances out here, and I want to talk to you about it afterwards.
Fellas, Trevor
The
Rowe,
Dogs.
remember, was a terrific... he tagged you every time, Michael, out here. And this is Davey. A loose ball, shoots for goal. He's bent it back, but again, they're offline. So you've got to concede that the Redlegs have had more of the ball. We're 13 and a half minutes into the first term. They still trail by 4 points, but I think they should have done better.
Don't know how strong the wind is, possibly just a 1 or 2 goal breeze, and they really do have to start well. And what are we, 15, 20 minutes in, and no majors on the board.
A little bit of breeze, but not much to talk of. You're live at ABC Sport. We're at Elizabeth, and Norwood won the reserves by 1 point in the game prior to this. McGowan sits at the back. Clever handball to no one in particular. Green pushes it over the back, and the Dogs towards, or just past centre towards half forward. McIntosh takes on Swert, goes to ground. Bassett in there helping. A chance now. That was Robertson. This is McIntosh, 94 Magarey medalist. Unusual to have a Magarey medalist not win the best and fairest. He gave it to the best and fairest, to Rowe underneath it, interfere with. Stevens the wrong way. Rowe at centre, Pieri. Shocking kick, Stephen Rowe. Absolutely disgraceful. This is McGowan. No excuse for that on a nice day. Stevens, Rowe trying to make amends. Too high. Won't get 50. And Stevens through the centre of the ground. Has a look. Richardson, sitting in front. That is a beautiful catch. Scotty Robertson got back, had the footy well and truly in his vision. The kick is ordinary, but Rowe's working hard. Let's see what he does with it this time. Pops it up, sitting at the back is Fleming. But in front, doing it pretty well, Michael Wakeland.
Brother.
Have a look at that, Wakeland in front. Really, Fleming not getting away from Wakeland whatsoever and not giving Norwood any drive.
The Wakeland kick, a long ball. Miller sits underneath it at centre-half back. The big man is controlling that position at the moment. He's in charge of Arnold. It ricochets off to Stevens, who in turn has McGowan. Wider still, coming down was Casserly. A short ball forward. Behind Green was Feld. Dantocchia the culprit. Now Ingerson handballs into space. Tim Cook runs off. He'll need to get through. He couldn't. Great tackle applied there by Harvey. Loose ball forward, Bassett. Comes back grandstand side. Davey on the half volley. And Green is down behind play holding his shoulder. It's not good news. Gurdam crashed through. FAD, a free downfield against Gurdam on Davey. And Smallridge will come up with the ball just inside the 50-metre square.
No damage done as Smallridge takes the footy. Poor kick, not giving their forwards a lot of opportunity. Pyman and Coffey work it out. The latter's got it. Too far for Wakeland, far enough for Green. Probably the best man on the ground so far, Green, right behind Stevens. They're having as much of the footy as they like. Davey, a pretty unintelligent attack on the footy. Didn't watch it at all. Allowed Gurdam possession and unable to pick it up off the half volley was Ingerson.
Well, Todd Davey, more experience there, needed to just trundle over the boundary line.
Michael, Norwood seemed a bit rattled. They seem to be just not very cool about their footy at the moment. A lot of skill errors.
Not calm at all, and especially when you across half back line, they're getting plenty of the footy and they're not harassed whatsoever, but just bombing it in.
Behind play, Miller and Arnold are going at it. I think Miller's got the upper hand there. Wakeland, hands and knees, tries to reclaim the ball, does so successfully. It's stripped off him by Fleming. Well done, Fleming, and forces a bounce.
Yes, and
Fleming looking for a big year. They've got a good down the middle lineup in Toombs and Ross, and there's the Eagles. 17 points at Footy Park. Half-time score. Quick boot towards the boundary. Stevens. Russell with him. Taps it forward, and I have to talk to Chris Grant about cleaning the ancillary glass alongside the grandstand. I can't see a thing, David. I'll concentrate on the monitor. Smallridge in screen.
Has the job of trying to nullify Craig Potter out of defence. Now that's unusual. Potter is an attacking defender, and while you've equally got to be mindful, as Gary Smallridge would be, of kicking goals, you've got to make sure that Potter doesn't attack downfield.
I was just saying a bit earlier, Norwood through the middle, Ross, Fleming, Miller, Toombs, they look pretty good, pretty solid, and it's hard to get key position players in the local competition when they keep getting knocked off by AFL sides, and there's one of them, Miller, played at centre-half back most of last year and has got the job. Here's Anthony Harvey, ex-Richmond player. Bassett is good. Too far for Ross. Chance Smallridge has Russell, ignores him, covered, and just sends one in long. Pieri, loose ball. Chance for Pitt. Reimer's right with him. Great tackle. Too high. Aishi, what do you reckon?
Well, it'd be interesting to see that. I thought he dropped the ball for a minute there. I don't know if he just handballed it. We'll have a quick look here. Paddled it along. Ooh, might have been knocked out of the hand. Nathan Bassett, as you called earlier, had a fine debut last year, but just noticed then his right side isn't really up to league standards, something he must concentrate on.
So Stephen Pitt from 50 for the lead at Elizabeth. Not far off. Well, we're 20-odd minutes in, 5 minutes off time on. And a very ordinary kick. He went back on it, tried to guide it, and paid the price.
Well, speaking to Norwood's officials there, they've said that he's just a little bit underdone at this stage of the year. Pitt, that's his second point. So he's had the opportunities. Now West Adelaide leads Sturt by 20 points. It could be a long year for the Double Blues unless they can get something going there. West Adelaide, with a lot of AFL quality recruits, or ex-AFL players, look to have recruited pretty well. Underneath this one, McGowan. There maybe is a 50. No, the umpire didn't fall for that. McGowan just collapsed under a light tackle by Smallridge. Wide to the outer side. Schwert in front of Bassett. Push in the back, or no, across the line, said the umpire. So a very good crowd here at Elizabeth Oval. The locals have come to support their club, who did so very well for them last season.
Yes, we had a great crowd at Footy Park last night, in and around 12,500 people to watch the opening clash. 92-point drubbing. Glenelg just out to last year's premiers, who really haven't woken up to the fact the season started. I think McGowan's in there working hard. And an opportunity, James, for James. Thanks, Michael. Need the help. Give me more help than you gave me when we were playing. Just now for Castle as he runs through the centre of the ground. And the kick is good.
Damien Arnold came well down from centre forward to pick that off. Gives it off now in turn to Green. On the left boot, goes short. Girdham front position, but Dantokia thumps it away. Down it falls to McIntosh. He in turn goes even shorter. Out there was James again. Good work. Harvey, new boy. Back to Ross. Now Ross's handball is just a little sloppy. Harvey's forced to come back inboard now. He tries to centre it off to Rowe. It's missed off by that player, and now it gives the Bulldogs the opportunity of running forward. And run they do. Richardson got the ball from Pyman. Now Pyman's run down. Coming off as Pitt on
Fletcher
is Fletcher. Daniel Fletcher, the former Geelong player, coming on for his first run of the afternoon. Now, what do you make of that, Michael?
Well, I'm sure Neil Craig would have been very disappointed in Pitt's kick for goal. Obviously bring him up to tell him that if you get that shot, you've just got to draw it.
I'd probably accept that. It was a very lazy kick for goal. He didn't stay down over the ball. He just leant back on it. It was a very lazy kick, and they're the sorts of things that Neil Craig doesn't really believe should be in his football team. Dantokia fighting with Girdham. Comes out the back door. Fighting hard. Over the top of it was James. He looks to have the same attributes as his older brother. He just fights for every ball. Rowe, cleverly done to Jonathan Toombs. Out to the outer side. It's a clearing kick. Harvey's first man there. Let's have a look what his pace is like. He's not too bad. He gets to the ball. In fact, he overrun it in the finish. Now chips short. What's the disposal like? Way short for Davey. It allowed him to run into space, however. Gives off a handball of sorts. Hereda and Ross go at it. Ross got a kick away, but Coffey, playing the kick behind play ruckman, marks yet again.
He's done well. This is Green. Puts his
partner in Castley under terrible pressure.
Been pretty impressive, this kid, Rock.
Castley's been okay, and so's too is Stevens. Green's been good. Castley again. Kick high, centre half forward. Squirt underneath it. Bassett with him. Squirt wins that one. Tumble kick forward. Ingerson got a hand to it. Intelligent footy. Toombs in there, and good contest. And it is a tight contest, Michael. There's might be a bit scrappy. You'd expect it early season, but not a lot between the teams at the moment. Not a lot. No one can get a clear break, and one of the tussles of the day will be no doubt between Bassett and Squirt.
You've got to agree with that. Almost 23 minutes played in this first quarter. Girdham swings back inside. Oh, beautiful work, James. McGowan was there with the mark. Now, James is a real terrier. I like Castley at one end for the Bulldogs and James at the other for the Redlegs. They just keep going hard at the ball and nothing seems to deviate them from the line. Now, James's kick is a long one. Ross was the target if the ball didn't quite carry. Hereda, last year's best defender for the Bulldogs, gives it off to Coffey. And I think we've already said he only played 6 games last year, Coffey. So Alan Stewart has charged him up this year to try and lead the ruck and lead them forward. And that's a kick to touch. There'll be a throw-in on the outer side. We're just on 23.5 minutes into the first term.
Interesting to see Scott Robertson coming back from Sydney, training all pre-season with the Crows and now donning the Norwood Guernsey again this year.
Do you think he was ready for AFL when he left, Michael?
I've got no doubt he wasn't.
A chance for Bassett. Rowe hands it out. And again, Harvey. He's played pretty well. Richmond player. Rowe and Davey in there. Miller throws himself at the footy. Beautiful touch on the way. I think that was Arnold. This is Squirt, number 40. Puts it up. Front of the square. Toombs. In the back of Conway. And a free kick to the big man. Here we go.
Well, Jonathan Toombs, not bad body on body. And, well, you might think I'm a red-hot Norwood supporter, but...
I don't know what to give us that opinion.
I have seen worse than that and go unpaid.
Okay, Conway from 30. Toombs not happy. The big fella lays back on it. And the Dogs feeling pretty comfortable in Elizabeth. Lead Norwood by 9 points.
Good work by the Dogs, really. They're just pushing forward. No one can get any clear space at the moment. And the Bulldogs, well, they've got a bit of height in their side. Conway in particular. Up forward, Ingerson, who is a very good player. And the Norwood defence will have to stay pretty tight.
At the bounce, Coffey thumps the ball forward. Squirt pushed off the ball by Bassett. McIntosh gives it back now. Opportunity for the kick away was James, doing a great job in defence. Harvey missed it, went right under the ball. Wakeland held his ground nicely, thumps the ball forward into space. Stevens thumps it off the ground. The left boot goes forward. It's a foot race now. Opportunity for Richardson and Robinson. Richardson got there, got the kick away, but the boundary umpire said he was just out of play. There'll be a throw in about 75 metres out from the Central's goals.
Like to see that again. I don't know how close that was.
Well, boundary umpire was right there. Miller thumped it down. Cook over the top of it. Held his ground, but Rowe burrows in. And umpire Kevin Chambers says there'll be a bounce. So, 25 minutes played. 2 goals to Central, 3 points to the Redlegs. Only 9 points separates the sides. And one's had 2 scoring opportunities in the Bulldogs. And Norwood, I would suggest, even though they're 3 points, have perhaps had 5 or 6 opportunities to score. This is Rowe going to the back door to Dan Tokia. Short. And a free kick, play on, said the umpire, Daniel Fletcher. Streams through the centre, goes long. Pieri out on the big lead, 2 hands to it, he's got it. Oh, good grab, Pieri. 48 metres out. And the big fellow, who I suppose we've got to call not so big now.
Shed a few pounds.
Now, what has he lost in weight?
What's
the real story?
Too. Well, I don't know how heavy he was before.
It's a long left footer, it's offline, however, the big fly came from behind by Primus, but no mark taken, and it's a point. So 4 points, the Redlegs, who have had the use of this light breeze, and the Bulldogs have kicked 2 into it.
just interesting to see Richardson having a pretty good year for the Bulldogs up forward, playing across half forward this year. Now, I don't know if he's a half forward.
Well, obviously, Alan Stewart looking at playing in finals, and he's already trying to work out what's his best side, and he may well feel that they were too dependent on Richardson last year. What did he kick? 80-odd goals, 82 goals, and nobody other than Chopper Hanley got more than 30. So they really did have some problems in their structure up forward, and I think that cost them in finals games. This is Primus around the corner, puts it up to the point of the square. No one home. Now Coffey is playing a game very similar to what Brett Chalmers played for Port Adelaide, a kick behind play, acting as a defender. Coffey goes for the safety of the boundary line. The siren sounds, and the margin at quarter time is 8 points in favour of Central District.
Yes, Norwood unable to kick a major in that quarter, and Neil Craig wouldn't be at all that happy at the moment. They had plenty of opportunities, controlled the ball for a while. Their half back line doing most of the attacking. Their half forward line really doing absolutely nothing. They have to make a few changes there, as we see Fleming. Well, he's done a few things with the ripped shirt. That happens quite a bit with these new jerseys. And Matthew Primus, well, resting in the forward pocket. Had a good season last year, but they really do need to take a few grabs.
So at quarter time, Central District's 2 goals straight, 12 points, lead Norwood, no goals, 4 points. The action exclusive to ABC Sport.
And don't forget, next week we've got Eagles and Central at Woodville Oval from 2 to 5 live, just like we have today. On the boundary, Stephen Trigger. Stephen, I'll go straight to you with Norwood's a comment about Norwood in relation to Anthony Harvey. I thought probably the best player for Norwood that quarter, a good pickup from the Richmond Footy Club.
Yes, working very hard and getting a lot of possessions. I think at the moment, it's as we suspected before the game, 2 very evenly balanced sides. A little bit of breeze here at the moment, not much, but you know too well out here that it springs up throughout the afternoon, so it wasn't a bad start for Central. Now, well, in terms of coaching, I think probably the only thing that I can see at the moment is that Scott Stevens may just have a little bit much leg pace for Kim Russell on centre wing. What do you think?
Yes, and Scott Stevens is a real favourite of mine, and he's probably one of the better players, along with Peter Green, the new Carlton player who had probably in the vicinity of about something like, I'll use my stats man, about 9 kicks. But I thought Norwood had plenty of the ball, Stephen, just didn't manage it well.
Yeah, well, firstly, in answer to Peter Green, he's impressive. He took a fairly hard one in the middle and still stood up to it, got on with the job just as Cook did earlier in the quarter, so some good signs for them. But you're quite right, Norwood had plenty of entries into that forward line. Pieri got his hands on 1. Other than that, they really squandered them. They probably had, let's say, half a dozen to 10 more entries throughout that quarter inside the 50-metre line. Just couldn't convert it, and now they've got to go against what breeze there is.
Coffey, in defence, we've all been probably critical as media about Grant Coffey's magnificent ability. He looks good coming off a line in defence.
Yeah, I agree entirely. I think it's just the best way to run him into some form. Let him sit back, have a good look at the play. It's not quite the same as when you have to come out and attack the ball in a key forward position. Let him sit back, read it. I reckon he's got pretty useful possession so far.
And Stephen Rowe had a lot of possessions, but he's prone to making simple errors, isn't he?
Pugnacious little fella, isn't he? I think the good news from Norwood's point of view is that both he and McIntosh have stood up pretty well. Mac has had a few good possessions, and well, I suppose so too is Stephen Rowe. The main thing is they're standing up.
Okay, thanks, Stephen. We've got some highlights from the first quarter. Sit back and enjoy these.
McGowan, he'll use it, always does. Beautiful vision, hanging on. David Mackay thought it wasn't paid. Beautiful piece of work by Conway. Opportunity, Cook off the ground. What do you reckon about that? Opens his score. The Dogs are away at Elizabeth.
Good work by Davey, the former Eagle player who spent last year with the Redlegs. And this is the new recruit. Have a good look at him. Peter Green, recruited from Carlton Reserves.
Through the centre of the ground, has a look. Richardson, sitting in front. That is a beautiful catch. Scotty Robertson got back, had the footy well and truly in his vision. The kick is ordinary, but Rose working hard. Let's see what he does with it this time. Pops it up, sitting at the back is Fleming. But in front, doing it pretty well, Michael Wakeland. Beautiful touch on the way. I think that was Arnold. This is Squirt, number 40, puts it up. Front of the square, Toombs. In the back of Conway. And a free kick to the big man. Okay, Conway from 30. Tomb's not happy. The big fella lays back on it, and the Dogs feeling pretty comfortable at Elizabeth.
And the Dogs by 8 points here at Elizabeth in the second part of round one. A good day, if you like, warm, overcast, and as we said earlier, it'll probably test the summer fitness this early in the season. It's a very, very big arena. Let's have a look at the scoreboard in the first quarter. The Dogs kept Norwood absolutely scoreless, a margin of 8 points.
Neville goal scorers, Tim Cook has one for Central District. Mark Conway, the new recruit from Wagga, has the other. While Norwood, Michael, haven't got a goal scorer, and they really are struggling as they're bringing the ball into their forward line.
Well, they are struggling, and having a look at the stats there, we see the Dogs controlling the kicks at the moment. 7 the advantage there, but looking at the handballs, they're getting control of the footy, and looking at some of their players, well, really, Stevens and Girdham, a couple of their 2 prime movers, around the 10 and 8 touches apiece, whereas Norwood across the centre line there, really there, Kim Russell with only 2 touches, they're not getting any drive whatsoever.
Yes, and Norwood controlling, or at least Central seem to be controlling things in the air. Set to go in the second quarter. Here's David Mackay.
Thanks, Neville. Umpire Michael Abbott will get the play underway. Still in ruck, Primus from the left. Going at Coffey. They've played well apart from each other, both players. Now the Redlegs need to open up their forward line. They're kicking into a slight breeze, and they haven't really been pinpointing the ball as it's been coming in. Now Central, on the other hand, really haven't got the ball forward enough, so all the play has been at midfield. Coffey gets it down. This time McGowan tries to give it back to Green, does so successfully. Around the corner, Green. Cook sits underneath it. Dantokia thumps the ball away. Now it's a loose ball. It comes to Schwert. Bassett claimed him. Miller gathers in the ball. Schwert claimed him, and Miller tried to thump the ball away and couldn't. And Kevin Chambers will bounce. So it's a testing time for both sides. They really do need to start a running style of football and use the spaces of Elizabeth Oval. Down it comes Schwert. Dantokia. Cook is there. Dantokia just bottles it up.
No shortage of courage, Dantokia. He always seems to be at the bottom of things. From Richmond Oval, West Adelaide by 23 points. And they seem to avoid every available spare player in the AFL. Doug Thomas, a bundle of cash and a couple of airfares. And the Bloods are set for 95. Chance for Green. Smallridge with him. Helping out is Schwert. That is close to holding the ball if it's not out of bounds.
I just wonder, Neville, well, you talked about West Adelaide. They recruit a lot of players from interstate every year, and every year their club seems to be a little unsettled.
Well, they do. It's just a philosophy they have. They'd rather do that than go back to their ranks. And I think if you do that in lieu of going to your ranks, you've got to be unsettled, because you never really give the young kids the chance they deserve. Opportunity for Green. He bangs away and he's offline.
Stevens, 1 point.
1 point. Talking on those recruits, Neville, really these days with the AFL, the clubs these days, why pour money into their juniors when you might have them for 1 or 2 years?
Because that's where you've
got to have a good balance.
You bring your juniors up and you get money for them.
You say that, but I interviewed 4 boys at Norwood this week, Harvey, James, Tierson and one other lad, all 21, all been delisted and all want to go back to the AFL. So you can't spend a bundle to get them here. They'll be gone in a year if they get picked up in the draft. Green has an opportunity here. It works both ways, I guess. Davey, he's been busy and goes wide to McIntosh. Neil Craig expected him to have a big year. He's recovered from that ankle injury. Johnny Ross to ground. And Harvey.
That's a terrible decision.
One of Norwood's better players today. She didn't like that one.
Well, it's too touchy. He handballed the ball. The guy just hardly retarded him whatsoever. There it is.
Yes, a little ticky touchwood on a big ground like this. Smallridge, Rowe, the shepherd around the corner. Watch for Berry. Front position. Reimers, the grab. Opportunity at the back. Rowe again. 23 is McGowan. Opportunity there for Potter. Caught. And too high.
Potter tried to crash through, and the tackle applied by Harvey was deemed too high. So Potter takes the kick inboard. Free kick against Russell on Reimers. Now Reimers is one player who AFL talent scouts have their eye on. Quality player, tall and athletic. Kicks it out wide. Now Cook, the loose ball, gives it off to Coffey. Now Coffey went without it and allowed Dantokia to toe poke it forward, pick it up. Cook claimed if it was a good tackle. Primus runs on in support. The big ruckman drills it forward. Reimers got back deep in defence. Now Casserly. McCallum medal winner, Castley, by the way, fellas. Gives it off to Girdham. Girdham short. Well done, Richardson. He's provided a little bit of life on the half-forward line. Goes wide. This is Green. David Green at 50. Goes long. It's a goal. Well, that's what the Bulldogs needed. Long and direct on this oval is the only way to go. And the result is a goal.
Number 1 for David Green off a half-back flank. Vice-captain last year. A very fine player for the Bulldogs. And as you see Richardson playing across half-forward on the left, swings it around. And Norwood, well, when they got caught underneath it, they really don't work back into defence, and they get caught out quite often.
Back in the centre of the ground. So, Dogs by 15 points. Norwood goalless. Hit-outs out of the centre are reasonably even, but their work through the forward line pretty efficient, the Dogs. And as David Mackay said, I think it comes back to how to play this ground. You can waste a lifetime.
There's only one way, Neville. I would just put blinkers on the players and say, forget that the flanks and the wings exist on this ground. It's got to be straight up the middle.
It's not bad advice. I think Darryl Hicks many years ago developed the term the corridor, and he might have stolen it from Jack Odie, or the late Jack Odie, but there's no wonder he developed that, because this ground is so big, unless you play through the centre of the ground, it's impossible to kick a big score. And the Dogs, well, they've played it pretty well. They're 3-1. Norwood offline, the same number of shots, 4 points.
The throw in. Miller wins it. Down it goes to Davey, who's also got blood streaming from an eye. James over the top of it. Smaldridge just chipped it forward. McGowan got clear and got onto the left boot. Around the corner he goes. Girdham, Bassett. That's been a great battle today. Richardson, I think, having the better of Robinson so far. Forward it goes. Tumes the defender. Picks it up and got through traffic. Did pretty well in the end. The ball goes to ground. Girdham crashed through. Well done, Richardson, to give it off to Girdham. And Girdham's caught holding the ball. It's a great tackle, Robinson, who made the initial mistake, but then got back to recover.
Lucky to get that, but geez, the umpires missed 2 decisions before that.
And Tokia off the half-back line. Big punch. Holding on, the crowd scream, and they had some influence.
Pyman's tough rock, isn't he?
Oh, he knows exactly what he's doing, Pyman, and like you, David, a lot of time for him. Coffey's kick's intercepted. Again, Dan Tokia. Smallridge has a look and does the right thing. He just goes long. Pieri sets himself. Reimer's too big a stretch. Pieri's second grab, Nilly, with strength, has a real go at it. Reimer's there, Pyman there, and Potter.
Chris Prime played in the reserves for the Redlegs today at centre half back. He was there leading forward the last 2 years.
Yeah, Prime and Pieri are they're pretty much of a muchness, aren't they? They seem to share, they get the same number of games. When Craig runs out of options with one, he changes it for the other, but he seems reluctant to play them together. Harvey in there working hard, and ball to ground again.
Well, what the legs have to do at the minute, Neville, at the moment they're getting nothing again out of their half-forward line. Really, he might have to think about swapping Ross to a full forward, or bringing Primus up there and resting him there. But
well, I've got to tell you what I'd be doing is bringing Miller to centre half forward and Ross to centre half back. And the way Miller is throwing himself at the ball, I think that's the only move that they've got at the moment.
It's not a bad thought, and also the one aspect of Elizabeth Oval you can never ignore is the emphasis on doing the work. And that's why Central win here so often, because they know they've got to work their tails off on this ground. You just have to get the numbers, and the only way to get to the footy is run the yards, and there's a lot of yards to run at this ground.
Well, David Burns, a runner, a notable red leg runner in the reserves also. Now, very difficult to see where they're going to get a lift across midfield at the moment. McIntosh is doing a great job at midfield, but he has very little support, particularly from Russell on his wing. High ball, thumped forward by Cashley. Rowe goes into space, but he's shepherded away by Stevens. The handball came out, but there was an elbow to the head, purely accidental, I'm sure. And Potter it was who conceded the free on Rowe.
Why are you so sure?
Well, I'm definitely certain that Potter wouldn't do that deliberately, that sort of thing.
This is Rowe, puts it up to centre half forward. I mean, to put you on the spot in front. Opportunity on that occasion was Primus. The Dogs defend through the centre. Underneath it, big catch, Robertson.
Terrific overhead.
Eyes for the ball only.
Great asset, Scott Robertson. Best part of his game is his marking.
He's got Fleming on the wing, and he's got him inside. Opportunity on this occasion for Fletcher. His kick is long and Pierre's got it.
Well, that's what Pierre does need to do, doesn't it? Use his strength.
Well, he does, and he's very similar, as you called it a bit earlier, to Prime, but he can't rely on that. They've really got a lead, and what we found with Chris Prime last year, or what Norwood found, I should say, with Chris Prime last year, was that they were trying to body too much and not get away from the opponent and getting on the lead.
Reading Stephen Trigg's article in the Advertiser this morning, he's had a pretty big summer. 15 metres. And the Redlegs, 10 minutes into the second quarter, kicked their first goal.
Well, number 37 on your screen, Pierre. Just trying to think who he looks like with that slick back hair. Some rock star or something like that. But he's really looking forward to this year.
Looks like that bloke that used to
Gerard Depardieu, the actor.
Yeah, no, used to. He does too, actually. Very good indeed. No, the bloke that used to run around in the bloody storm water drains in New York. What was his name?
Yeah,
know him well. Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, stop it.
Back in the centre, the Redlegs kick their first goal. They trail by 9 points.
Thanks. Green. A high ball to half forward. Arnold and Miller. Miller was first there, but couldn't get fingertips to the ball. Arnold was running onto it, just pushed off it by Dantokia. Dantokia just unbalanced him by pushing him off balance. I suppose that's what he really did. Bassett. Short, Rowe. Working deep in defence. McIntosh also working defence. Off it goes to Harvey, who has Russell. Defensive side of the wing. In fact, really off a half-back flank, so they've had 4 possessions and only taken the ball to a half-back flank. Todd Davey tries to run it forward, but Casserly, I've been very impressed, Michael, with Justin Casserly's game out of a back pocket today.
He's done pretty well.
10 minutes in, second quarter here at Elizabeth. This is the final segment of round 1. It opened last night at Footy Park. Big win. The Tigers over Port Adelaide. Bottleneck. Finally it's out. Rowe with the run. He'll always turn back, Rowe, on his right if he can. And does that pretty well. Puts it up Pierre. Reimers with the set. Doesn't seem to be able to stop Reimers from having a jump at him at any time, does he, Michael? He always seems to be under the footy.
Well, as a forward, Neville, you have to realise this, and you know full well, as a forward, you've got to know where your opponent is. So all he really had to do there was back into him and feel him and then go out the footy, but he let him have a jump at it. He's just not managing his space that well, and there's plenty of it here. If you can't manage it here, you'll be struggling at other grounds. Again, underneath the footy. This time he's got it. Play on's the call. Touched. And a bounce up. Only 20 metres outside of the Norwood goals. Let's have a look at this. Make your own judgments. What do you reckon, Michael?
No, it was actually touched off the boot before we saw the replay of the mark, Neville. The umpire called it as soon as the ball came off the boot, it was touched. So all players out there would have known that it was a play-on position. Now, Casserly fights hard. 6 is Cook, 13 Smallridge, 19 Harada. Well, there's not much in the match at Football Park between North Adelaide and the Eagles. The Eagles just up by 10 points. Potter and Smallridge, look at them. West Adelaide, 30 points, leaders over the Double Blues at Richmond Oval. It's quite expected. Cook hurries the kick towards the outer boundary line. Green first man there. Behind him, Harvey, 2 former Victorians, now playing in South Australia.
David, one I've been very impressed with today, and it's probably been, I think, Norwood's best, is Roger James on a wing.
Clearly, for mine, he's been the best.
What about Harvey? You wouldn't put him in there?
Well, I don't think he's done enough with his possessions, Rock, to tell you the truth, to warrant him to be higher than the best players just yet. He's finding the ball, but I don't think he's done a great deal with it, where James, on the other hand, I think has been very solid every possession he's had. I agree with Michael there. And in fact, when you look through Norwood's best players, perhaps Bassett is doing a fair job in defence, but not too many others.
Dantokia's had a bit of the footy, but yeah, they're finding it hard to get a driver at the moment, aren't they? Hands and knees was Primus. And a chance for Miller, just lost his spot there. Shepherds, Dantokia gets it wide. Robertson on the left foot and chips short. Trying to find Harvey just out of bounds. Not happy with it, but gives up the footy.
See, the thing about running wide like that, you can pick up an easy possession, but you're not doing your side any good.
Well, I guess at that situation, he just ran into the line of vision to the player who had the footy. He probably really had nowhere else to run on that occasion. But I take your point that Norwood probably not picking up the threads of playing more through the centre of this ground and wasting so many possessions. That's Kim Russell.
in ruck. Arnold thumps it down. Now Rowe, the loose ball. Let's see if he can get some direction. Comes inboard, that's where they need to be. McIntosh, well, I should have put him amongst their better players. I take your point about Harvey. He's picking up possessions, going wide, and there's another wasted one. He's just not doing anything with it, and I think with his pace, he could probably even back himself into bounce through here. A couple of Bulldog supporters.
And the Dog just about to make a change in Ellis, who's fairly nippy, can do a bit across the half-forward line for Richardson, it looks like. Change of pace for the Bulldogs. Now Stevens, talk about pace. It was a throw, said the umpire. So it's a red leg free kick back at half-forward. Taken by Harvey. A high ball to half-forward, small ridge under it, paddled it one-handed. No real attempt. Hyman 54 over the top of Todd Davey, forced the handball to come out. It ends up with Rowe, in turn McIntosh. He's working hard, bends it back inboard. Now that's the kick. Centre it up here at Elizabeth Oval, and Smallridge marks almost directly in front, about 45 metres out. It's a fair grab by Gary Smallridge. Disappointing not last year, the year before. He didn't play at all last year, did he? He went to Western Australia and rugby. Had a year off. Played rugby in Western Australia last year, came back, got a job, and has put in a great pre-season and worked on his hands, which is one facet of his game in 1993 that was disappointing. The kick, it's short. Peary on the lead. Now that's what they need to do, the Redlegs. Now the Bulldogs had 3 players in the hole. Cook was there, McGowan was there, but they really didn't get back quick enough and allowed Peary to come into the space and mark. Good work by Smallridge there. Just took his time, was probably a little too far out, and Peary does what a full forward should do, and that's lead. And if he doesn't get it the first time, he doubles back and has another shot at it. So Anthony Peary, a shadow of his former self. Reliably, we're told, 20 kilograms lighter than last season. A streamlined look. He already has one. In fact, he's kicked the Redlegs' only goal. Goes goal with this time, and the goal umpire says it looks pretty good. So Peary gets his second, and the Redlegs go to 2 goals 4, trailing Central 3 goals 1.
Michael, while we were very complimentary about the kick in Smallridge into Peary, the kick before that by McIntosh, I know it was a good grab, but the kick prior to it by McIntosh was special. Well, McIntosh is a fine player, as last year he's won, one or two best and fairest for the club. The 1994 Maghera medalist won it in, 83, I think it was, and wasn't able to win it, and it's just sensible footy. That's the percentage kick. 3-1 the Dogs, and Norwood 2-4, so Norwood coming back. They only trail by 3 points. A tough battle in the centre, going nowhere though. Overcast, but generally warm conditions here at Elizabeth. Tough battle, Neville, you're right there. It's very scrappy, no side really getting any momentum.
I tell you what, I haven't really noticed is any physical clashes where players take the other on body to body. It's been close work and pushing and shoving, but
it's a characteristic of this ground a bit too, I think, David, that because people play so open, so much open footy, it just doesn't get bottled up so much. And if you really want to work at this ground, you can get a kick because there is so much space. Opportunity for Cook. He plays it wide, looking to get out there by himself, but he wasn't successful on this occasion. Good crowd here at Elizabeth. One goal we haven't mentioned too, doing a fine job on Anthony Ingerson as young Stephen Daniels.
Yep, fair point.
Too right, and Ingerson looking to prove himself up for Crows footy. I know that he's keen to do a lot of work on his skills and his kicking, and, but he's got fair work commitments at the moment. He's got a building business of his own, and that's distracting him a bit. You can understand that. Stevens puts it up high. Opportunity at the back. Cook couldn't get it. This is Toombs. Goes backwards to James. Good footy. Half volley. Davey does it well. Toombs tells him where to go. Schwerp puts on the pressure. Bassett's there. He's caught. Gets rid of it quickly though. Toombs, well done, Girdham. Finds the ball back. Bassett desperate. In comes Schwerp and will have a ball up. Well, it's tough and hard out there at the moment, and the Norwood backline doing pretty well. And at the moment, really both backlines holding sway, and no side really be able to kick 4 or 5 in quick succession.
7.5 minutes into the second term. 3 points separate these sides, and Miller thumps it across the line.
I was just going to say, young Bassett reminds me of you, Michael, when he was playing. Much as we get him into the gym, you just can't put any weight on him. He's light, isn't he?
Very light, and I don't know how much time he spent with the gym, but yeah, that shattered me.
What's that?
Some hard sessions in that gym.
Oh, you couldn't put on a kilo, could you? It was just unbelievable.
Cook, a high ball to the square, off hands, and through for a behind. I hate to interrupt you squabbling, fellas, but there's a footy match going on.
3-2 plays 2-4. The Dogs by 4 points. You're live at Elizabeth Oval on ABC Footy. Anthony Toombs with the footy. The Sharon. Not not many better things to hold than a brand new Sherrin, I reckon. This Tubes brings it in.
Simple life.
I have had a simple life. Miller, big catch. Goes on quickly. Dantokia tripped by his own player. McIntosh there to help. James has got it in the forward play. Outsmarts himself. He's in a bevy of players. McIntosh holding the ball is the call.
Well, it was just an experience by James. He could have got away a kick, but instead he gave it back to the skipper.
Great footy though, the Dogs. Great footy to actually get that many people around the play. Norwood had the run and made the wrong decision coming forward and paid the price for it. We'll have another bounce.
The Raiders done a pretty good job on Jonathan Ross at centre-half back. The Eagles by 5 points at Football Park, so there's nothing in that game between North and the Eagles. West Adelaide and Sturt, the other match, West by 24 points, so Sturt aren't letting the Bloods get away.
No, Sturt, I remember in the old days, Sturt had a very, very good record at Richmond Oval, and Philip Carmen, I think it'll be pretty exciting to see what he can do with that lot. He's a real athlete, Carmen in his own right, and he'll demand a lot of them. Ross can't control it, and the ball is out of bounds, almost in the diametric centre of the ground, right in front of the members, and they're reasonably vocal.
I hate to labour the point, Neville, but Ross is calling for the ball right out on the boundary line, as are most of the Red League forwards. I think they've just got to say, right, let's open it right up around the middle and let the guys come straight at the player with the ball and lead to them. Smallridge over the top of it, Cops are pushing the back and a free kick.
Regardless of what their match plans are, Central are forcing them into a defensive action, and Ross is, as you said, far too wide.
There, Colin Pieri marks at 50. Now look in the goal square. Dale Fleming's there all by himself. Fleming out now on the lead, and it's there. Fleming's got it. Oh, it's paid. Well, did he hold it long enough? But the umpire said he did, and that's all that counts.
I'll tell you what, the grab before that, I don't know if we have got it. The second grab by Fleming, but the one before that, and Pieri had about 4 Bulldogs opponents on him and got back quickly and gave Fleming a chance.
So the point I'm making is that Fleming came directly down the field that time and won the ball. So he goes for goal, and for the first time in this match, the Redlegs have hit the front. They lead by 2 points.
Okay, well, Norwood, good work by Primus. He's a great ruckman, but Derry Dantokia, he is tough. Norwood's best and fairest last year, does all the hard work. And here we go. There he is in the middle. And Reema's all over him, manages to take it. And Norwood putting number 3 on the board.
The Redlegs with the lead here at Elizabeth for the first time as we go to 21 minutes, second quarter. The Dogs out of the centre. Cook with an opportunity, gives up the footy. James on his left boot, in front Harvey. Fights pretty hard for front position. Good basic play at the bottom of the pack again. Opportunity on that occasion for Fletcher. Lost it. McGowan high. And Ingerson back of the pack. Big catch. He's got the drop on Miller.
I think that's his first mark, isn't it?
Classic with the drop. Goes wide on a lead. He's got Coffey, I was going to say Richardson. Coffey forward now after having a fantastic first quarter in defence.
Well, Arnold, I think, has gone into the ruck. Coffey has gone to full forward. And Conway.
So, Coffey from about 50. He doesn't lack any talent, does he? Simple as you like. He's a skillful player and he gives the Dogs the lead back.
And that's what he's capable of, Michael, isn't it? Although last year, we've already said he only played 6 games. He kicked 6 goals. But he is a player. My recollection this time last year, he kicked 13 against Sturt. Did he not?
I'm not sure, David, but can play football, as you said. And really, that what went wrong there was Ingerson being able to take a grab from behind, when obviously he should punch, but backed his judgment.
Conway off. Richardson back on. The ball back at the centre. Central 4-2, Norwood 3-4. So the Bulldogs regain the lead. Coffey kicks a terrific goal. It's a seesawing match. Not a high-scoring one by any stretch, but if you're into a tough contest, this is it. Ellis came on about 15 minutes ago. First possession for him. Goes wide. Richardson in front of Toombs. Marks at half forward. Far too far out to score. But he'll look for Coffey in the square now. All players are up. Coffey's the only player back there. Coffey was out on the lead, but that ball dropped short now. Coffey gathers it. 35 out directly in front, sprays it. Off to the right. It's a point, a golden opportunity. had very little pressure on him right then, and he's disappointed in himself.
So he should be. Had no pressure whatsoever. The ball's just come McIntosh sport beautifully. McGowan and Coffey all the time in the world. Could have put through Central's 5th.
Well, he spent most of his time last year, Neville, in the reserves. I think he came runner-up in the reserves, best and fairest at the club. So a player with his ability.
Didn't he actually get banished for a while to a local club?
No, I think
the year before he played a couple of district games. But I guess we've all been critical of the ability Coffey has. But if he can't produce on a regular basis, I guess that's not his fault. But Stewart has persisted with him, and he's turned him into a pretty reasonable player. As I said, that first quarter, I guess, like you see so many times, a good forward becomes even a better backman with the pressure of not having a second chance. Ingerson in the ruck. By a second chance, I mean, as a forward, you know, you can miss the footy, doesn't matter too much. As a defender, you miss it once or twice, forward, and then get 2 or 3 goals kicked on, you're off the ground. Not as lenient. This is Squirt. He's got Ingerson on one hand. He's got Coffey. That's where he's gone. Big jump from behind. Couldn't take it. Toombs, Bassett defensively. And 1 point. Well, Neil Craig ringing the changes at the moment. As we say, Ross has done nothing across half forward now into the ruck, and Pitt back onto the ground.
He's also made a change, bringing Fleming out to centre half forward. This is Toombs from defence, goes short, looking for McIntosh. The kick was a shocker. Well done. Rowe got through, gives it off to Robinson at half back, lifts the eyes and goes long. The target, Fleming, in front of Hereda. Now, Fleming might just have a little bit more pace for Hereda. Gives it off to James, who ran out of play. Potter did well to claim him. It was terrific work.
Great work, and Toombs, well, a bit lucky to get away with that. And Stephen Rose, the basic skills in close, very good.
Ross in ruck, thumped it down to Rowe, who was in the right position. A high ball, centres it up to centre half forward. Pitt sits underneath it, was bustled off it by Pyman. Now, who's that? 46, a new jumper. We've got him on our budget.
Picked him up.
Somebody's changed the jumper. Pieri dribbles one towards the goals. It's gone straight across the face. Opportunity now. The Bulldogs through Hereda. They bring it out. Green. Arnold just misread it. At the back it was Rowe. Short. Pieri the target. Reimers from behind went the thump. Pieri nearly marked it. Smallridge gathered, taken the ground. Is that holding the ball?
That's holding the ball, no question.
Well, the umpire was blindsided. He was caught behind the players. He couldn't see that Smallridge just gave up. Here it comes.
Have a look at it. Nearly a grab. And Smallridge.
Yeah, that's holding the ball.
Go on.
Reimers, Schwert. Well done, Schwert. Got away a kick. That was just sheer desperation. Pyman, Pitt. Now, Pitt was able to push Pyman off the ball, bend it back, around the corner. Davey, can he get clear? No, Casserly got him. Great tackle, Casserly. And I think that might be a free.
Well, he hasn't given him much chance, has he? Davey on the ground and handballed it to him.
Yes.
Oh, well. It's easy up here.
Just trying to pick up who that 46 is, Michael. You know,
Ashley Reid.
Ashley Reid.
Recruit from Melbourne.
Thank you very much. We had him down in a different jumper number. This is Green, another Melbourne recruit. McGowan, taken the ground, 12. Russell applied the tackle. It was wide to Cook, but too wide and out of play.
Some great tackles in. The thing that disappoints me in footy to date is the umpires don't reward enough good tackles. And if a good enough tackle is and they drop it out of their hands, well, you've got to ping if you're holding the ball.
Ross nudged Arnold in the back, but got the tap down to Smallridge. A long handball, into space it goes. Harvey overran it, came back. Oh, beautifully done, Smallridge. In the overlap, he followed down and drills it forward to Pieri. The big man got 2 hands to it. Reimers there, throws him away. Reid now to Smallridge around the corner, but it's touched off hands and out of play.
That is great work by Smallridge. He's had 3 touches in about 8 seconds.
Working hard. North by 14 points at Football Park, so they're back on top of the Eagles. That's late in the game. West Adelaide by 24 points. The Double Blues not allowing the Bloods to get away at all. Ross gathered it off and almost handed it off to Pitt, who in turn handed it off to Harvey. 3 players had a possession in the split second.
There are some goers out there. Harvey, Fletcher.
They get to the fall of the ball, don't they? They put themselves in a position to take possession. This is Schwert cleaning it off. Pyman hurried kick to space. It's a foot race. McGowan and McIntosh. Well, McIntosh clearly the faster. Have a look at him. He's just reeled him in. But James was quicker than both of them.
Good work.
Well, I like this fellow. They've lost his brother Brett to Collingwood, but they've picked up a very good recruit. And this young man, and fine mark taken by Harada. Good defender. Casserly. Solid. Stocky little fella. Out it goes to Reimers. A running, robust backman. He can play centre-half back, centre-half forward, full-back or ruck. Stevens, one-hander. He just kept going. That was good courage. He knew the opposition was coming. So the margin at quarter time, it's the Bulldogs by 6 points.
Well, Norwood coming back into it there. They've kicked 3 for the term and had a lot of the play as they did in the first quarter. Craig making some changes. The Bulldogs, well, they'll be disappointed with that term, but it's a close game. Only 1 goal, the difference.
So at half-time in this match between Central and Norwood, it's the Bulldogs 4 goals for 28, Norwood 3 goals for 22, and you've got to ask yourself, Michael, what can happen in the second half?
Well, if it's going to be a tussle like it has, a tight tussle as it has been in this first half. But some of the new players, David has come in, Ashley Reid just come on, hasn't had a chance to do a lot. Fletcher's been on and off the bench. But Roger James, as we've called it, has probably been Norwood's best, along with McIntosh. Robertson coming back from the Swans has been very good across half-back, along with Dan Tokia. And, well, the Bulldogs, a couple of their run-on players have really dropped a bit in that term.
So fitness the key at this big oval in the second half. And at half-time at Central District, 4 goals for 28, Norwood 3 goals for 22.
Updating cricket first of all, and South Australia missed out on first innings points today at the SCG. New South Wales declared their first innings at 9 for 305. South Australia a short time ago 2 for 145 in their second dig, an overall lead of 141. Queensland though are gearing up for outright victory against Tasmania at the Bellerive Oval. In their second innings 4 for 369, an overall lead of now of 448. Border on 101, Mar on 28. And Victoria giving a great challenge to South Australia for the remaining finals berth. A short time ago 3 for 80 in their second innings, an overall lead now of 139. WA dismissed in their first innings for 221. Well, back to the football shortly, but first of all, a news update.
Good afternoon, Indira Naidu with an ABC News update. Violent scenes today at an anti-racial vilification rally in Melbourne. More than 200 police were called in when National Action protesters clashed with an anti-Nazi group. At least 1 person has been hospitalised. Police have condemned both groups for carrying weapons. In Adelaide, around 300 cyclists disrupted inner-city traffic this morning to promote alternative modes of transport. They say cycling and walking is affordable, accessible and environmentally friendly. Bad news for Port Adelaide fans. 2 key players are out after the Magpies' opening round 92-point loss to Glenelg. Champion full forward Scott Hodges is almost certain to miss the entire 1995 season. He broke his ankle during this incident in the second quarter and will be in plaster for 3 months. And Port wingman David Hutton will miss at least 8 weeks with a dislocated elbow. These stories and more tonight at 7 p.m. But now it's back to Elizabeth Oval.
Thanks, Indira, and some pictures there from Footy Park. We'll have some of those in a minute. In front of 12,500 people last night, the Tigers in the opening round dealt Port Adelaide a real setback in the early season. Maybe a premiership hangover. Maybe they're just not ready. Maybe the Tigers are as good as they look. But these highlights, if you're a Port Adelaide supporter, will really offend.
He provides protection. Dean goes inside the 50-metre line. Here's Caldo. Good spoil away. Comes down towards Carter. Hallahan's there again. If he can get over the top, he does. Here's a chance for Chiggy. 1 step. Beautiful kick. Great kick, Nicholas. Northeast just paddles it forward. Tries to find Hutton. In the end, he can. Now the left leg up towards the head of the square. A little bit of pushing and shoving. The umpire says nothing going. Stephen Williams round the body. The old legs just get him around well enough to snap a goal. Here they are. Here's Chigwidden. Here's a chance around the body. He loves these. How much does he love this one? He's got the hands up in the air and he's got the goal. Having to travel, it's always a sign when a side's not doing very well. Their centre-half forward starts to travel some miles. Here's Stephen Williams. Has a good look. Keeps the head down and nails it. Well, that's better from the Magpies.
Number 36 is David Strooper. Gets it over now Bailey.
Chigwin was the man that got it to him. Oh, Rogers made a bad mistake and almost paid. He may still even pay for this. Round the corner by Caldo. Oh, what a ripper. Lee's up well early. Oh, big chance here. And a big chance for Big Strooper. Far side, not quite to the wing. Waterhouse. Oh, here's a chance now. McGuinness. High kick to the square. Caldo delivers the goal. Shepherding. Excellent goal by Glenelg. Chigwin's kick is a good one, and a very strong mark there taken by West.
It's been solid, hasn't he? Gives it off to Heel, playing at centre field tonight. He's done a terrific job in that position. Dropping back underneath it was Rouvray. He missed the ball. Buttering up now, Bartlett. He's had a huge pre-season. He's showing the benefit, the big man. They're putting big raps on him. He's not letting them down. It's a long ball under at McCulley. Man at the front. He took it, the big man. They're running. Look at them go. Hallahan. How could they leave him in the wilderness for 2 years? He's starring tonight. Caldo couldn't gather it in. Cleverly done, Roger the Dodger. Back to Carter. They've gang tackled him, but Carter got taken high, or did he? No. It's a Glenelg free kick. Rouvray into the open goal. What a cakewalk. This is the wonderful skills of Phil McGuinness. Driving it forward. He pirouetted out, gave it off to Hallahan, and look at the run of Heel. They've got runners everywhere from midfield. Heel was decked, but he still gets the goal. It won't matter.
There's the hand pass by Kretschmer and Strooper. Big kick by David Strooper. Rowan Smith. A belated goal perhaps for Port Adelaide. Yes, sirree.
Simons over the top, around the corner, Hallahan. A big player tonight to the point of the square. Oh, don't tell me he's kicked that. That's impossible. Hallahan kicked that. That can't be done. And what a return to league football. Oh, Strooper was run down. Now, that's what I'm talking about. He's not quick enough for the AFL Strooper, but he should survive here. Waterhouse clashed as he kicked that ball forward. Oh, well done. Ryan held his ground, kept his eye on the ball, spun around. Not easy to do when you're 6'6". So Ryan, who's gone to full forward and has kicked one already, gets his second.
Had it ripped off him, Malakalis. Not quite the speed there, just got caught, forced the error. Oh, have a look at that. War, just a little bit high.
Sin bin in rugby.
It's unbelievable stuff. Williams should kick this from 30 metres and does so.
Oh, Rowan Smith, what about his haircut? Rowan bounds away inside 50. This is danger area for Rowan. He puts them through from here, and he has this one as well.
There's Roger again. Good shot of him too. Gritting the teeth. Have a look at him. Just persistent personified there. Keep going, Roger. No, just couldn't quite keep it in. Bartlett got it around the corner. Well done by Hamilton, I think that might have been. Now Chiggy. Surely a goal coming up now. McGuinness. Yes. Darren Smith. Oh, just a bit slow. Tried to do too much there. Hocking. Oh, here's a goal. Darren will get it anyway. Well, will he? Was it off his shin? Well, it won't matter. Yes, it was.
Final siren's gone. The agony for John Cale is over. The ecstasy for Tony Simons as he wins his first game as coach of Glenelg. 27 goals, 11, 173. Port Adelaide 11, 15, 81. The final margin, 92 points.
What about that? 92 points. If you're a Magpie supporter, you'd be in shock today. And if you were Tony Simons, you'd be wondering how easy it is. Straight from Victor Harbour, a couple of premierships, and he knocks off last year's grand finalist and premiership team, Port Adelaide, by 92 points. Can't get my head around it this early in the season, but I'm sure Port Adelaide will be there when it comes to the serious end of the season. Well, let's get back to today's game. Norwood trailing by 6 points at the moment. They trailed by 8 points in the first quarter. They got in front during this second quarter, only by a couple of points, but Central got back in. They've been pretty good, Central. Norwood started to work this oval out a little bit better in the last part of that second quarter, and they looked a lot more efficient.
Having a look at the goal kickers, not a lot. All singles to the Dogs in Coffey, Conway, Green and Cook. And Norwood, well, they've only had the two. Pierre's been their favourite up there. He's kicked 2 and Fleming 1. So every game the actual legs have played with the Bulldogs up here have been tight over the last 5 or 6 years. And having a look at the stats, well, pretty even on the kicks there. As we've caught, it's been pretty scrappy and not much in it either in the handballs. In close, the Doggies doing a little bit better. Hit-outs, well, very even, and frees 4 only 1 the difference there. So all in all, the game is very tight. Has been in the last, as I said, the last 4 or 5 years, and goes down to the wire.
Thanks, Rowdy. And on the boundary, Stephen Trigg, and I guess adding to the woes of Port Adelaide, Stephen, Hodges, broken ankle, Hutton, dislocated elbow.
Yes, terrible news for them. An awful start, and I don't care who you are, whether you're a Port supporter or you're not, to see the competition's best goal kicker out of action is a disaster, and I feel so sorry for David Hutton, as I said last night. It's a rotten start for him. He worked so very hard over the summer to get back into the side, and he's had this awful start to the season. Probably 6 to 8, maybe 10 weeks for him, and Scotty, they're talking about this morning, maybe the season.
Yeah, real setback. Let's get back to what's happening right here at Elizabeth Oval. The gains, Stephen, for the Dogs.
Well, James Sowell has returned and is, unfortunately for Centrals, is injured at the moment. We've seen Peter Green in action, and he looks likely. He's a tough competitor, he works hard. Conway's from the ground at the moment and is from Wagga. Darren Cook we haven't seen anything of yet, nor Sean Chambers from North Adelaide. So they've gained some good ones. On the negative side for them, they've lost Robert Hanley, who probably is the most significant one. The policeman, the constable, has gone to Renmark, and Brendan Robertson, who spent a little bit of time at Sturt, has gone to Laverton, wherever that might be. And Balkwill and O'Loughlin. I guess the other significant one I overlooked was Shane Tongri down the bottom, who is presently training with South Adelaide, yet to be cleared, but Central decided to let him go, and Alan Stewart decided that he couldn't fit. It's a brave decision. Stewie's made some brave ones. Greg Smith, amongst others, has moved on, and now Shane Tongri.
Yes, with the AFL draft around recruitment, a big part of local football now. Let's have a look at what the new boys at Elizabeth have to say.
I come from Barella in New South Wales, population of about 2. Then went up to the Sydney Swans with a population of 4 million, then down to Carlton for last season. Well, I took one look at Granny and said I've got to come to this club. Played under Barassi, absolute mongrel. Then went down to Parker. It was absolutely fantastic from the footy. Alan Stewart's a different coach altogether, very quiet, and but gets the job done. I like to play on the ball or half-back flank because I can get in there and get it out. Hopefully, after a good season with Central Districts, I might be able to get another opportunity.
I've played most of my football at the one club, which was in New South Wales, and they were called Mangapla Cookadinny United. I just like the coaching staff, and seemed to be a good bunch of blokes here. Yeah, I find Alan Stewart pretty good, compared to the other guys. He's all right. Probably in the ruck or anywhere in the forward line. Don't mind kicking the odd goal. I'm pretty tall, so I'm reasonably good overhead. Not a bad kick. We'll see how I go out Central Districts this year, and if I have a good year, and we'll see.
Originally I came from Parra Hills, then I went my way to North Adelaide, played at 2 years out there, and since up to 92, and then just drifted off for 2 years and I'm back here. Well, one reason is because I followed them closely through the 2 years I've been playing, and it's good to see a club that keeps trying. I want to play for a premiership side in this club because I haven't been in a premiership side before. Using more into the players, that sort of thing, gets to know them on a personal basis. Well, I like playing, they put me in the roving position out here, and I enjoy that a lot. I like running the ball, getting in the packs, getting the ball out, a bit like Greenie.
Well, I started at Elizabeth when I was a young fella, and then I come to Centrals. My dad was here before, and I come here, and because it sounded like a good club, and been here for, it'll be 5 years. I went to Fitzroy last year under the draft, and had a few trial matches in the AFL, but started playing all right, but then got a few injuries, and then I lost a bit of form and tried to stay on the list, but it's pretty hard nowadays, so I come back here this year. It's a good club, and I like all the blokes and all the staff and the management, and I love the place really. Dad's been here, love it, love to play. Well, wing, because I like to run, because it's probably my biggest asset, and half back pocket, anything like that, anywhere I can get a game really. Hard, direct, and good footy. Looking towards a good year this year.
Yes, and the new recruits for Central District, and Stephen, I don't know whether Barassi's been called a mongrel by one of his players or former players before.
I'll absolutely bet he has. Peter Green wouldn't be on his own when he talks about that sort of thing. A few of the Swans boys will be finding out that even Barras at 50 plus, and I think you could probably tell me exactly how old he is still a tough old man.
Yeah, I think Malakella's felt the same about Barras. Let's have a look at the Norwood games. They've been pretty busy, Steve.
We can't fit them all onto one page. I got up to 8 and stopped counting this morning. They had so many of them. Look through them. McCormack, Anthony, Harvey, Fletcher, Thiessen, Dennis, Scott Robinson, of course, has returned. Barnett and Reid, who we've seen in action only briefly today from Melbourne. And across the page, people like Clements, Matthew James from the Eagles. Gary Smallridge has returned to the club. Barry Shell is a real little goer, played in the reserves today, and probably should complement the midfield for Norwood. Growden, Doran and Warner, there are plenty of them.
And on the losses, Steve, not as many.
Not as many, but significant people, aren't they? I'd say particularly the top two. Burns was wonderful for Norwood throughout 1993 and 4, and Patterson's been a frenetic little worker who's generated a lot of play. Jonathan Robrin's a key position player, so they'll miss him, and Billy Dolan was a goer as well. So, yeah, they're significant losses, but on the other side of the ledger, Neville, that's as many recruits into one side in 1 year that I can remember.
Yes, and Collingwood getting the benefit of two of Norwood's better players, and during the week I caught up with the new Norwood recruits at Norwood Oval, and they're an interesting bunch.
I was born in Renmark, South Australia, and then moved up to Queensland where I started playing football up there for Coolangatta, and then moved to Victoria in my teens and lived there ever since and moved over here. So over here it's sort of more of a handball and run around sort of game, whereas in Victoria it was a long kick up the ground. Played a lot of football at full back and on the back line, centre half back. Had runs on the wing and also at centre half forward, so all over the ground really. I've got to work on my strength myself, and I've just got to get a bit of touch back in the hands and things like that and the kicking. Have a good year here, play consistently in good football, hopefully play in the finals with Norwood, and then if the opportunity arises, get back in the AFL.
I just wasn't happy playing football in Melbourne. I really wanted to get out of Melbourne. I saw South Australia was a good place to move to. I've heard a lot of people say it's a really, really good place. Yabby Jeans, he was my first senior coach when I first arrived at Richmond, so he was pretty inspirational, and John Northey was, definitely a different style of coach to John Yabby Jeans, but both were good coaches. On the wing at Richmond I played most of my football, but I don't mind where I played. I finished off last year half-back, flank, back pocket, which I really enjoyed. Absolutely there is, but my first objective is to play good football in the SANFL and be successful over here, and then if that comes, well, I'll be more than happy.
I've been talking with Norwood since about October, and they expressed a lot of interest in me, and I'd heard from a lot of people in Melbourne how professional Norwood were, and how well they treated their players, and they were a very strong club, and they had a lot of finals experience, and I thought that was certainly quickness of hands is one of my main attributes, and I can run all day pretty much. A bit more strength, body strength I have built up over the last 2 or 3 years, but obviously I need to be a bit more stronger. I've always wanted to play in the AFL, and I've had a taste of it, and what I did was I liked it in the AFL, and I dreamed to get back there one day.
Yeah, I started in Carlton. I did the whole pre-season, November right through to February, and got the chop about mid-February. It's a good club, and Glenn Ross has been in contact with him for about 4 or 5 years, and it just seems like a club that wants to win. I'd like to play probably ruck rover. I think it'd be a good spot, or in the centre, or anywhere along the centre line, or half back, half forward. Just do your best, and if you get other offers later on, we'll see what happens.
New boys at the parade, there's plenty of them. You're live at Elizabeth Oval on ABC Sport. It's the Dogs by 6 points over the Redlegs. With me now, David Mackay. And David, that second quarter, Pieri, 2 goals. If they get it up there quickly, he can do the job.
I think that's the thing. The Redlegs need to move the ball into their forward line much quicker than they have, frankly. They really didn't do that at all in the first quarter. They did it in the second quarter. I think they got 2 to Pieri, and I think the other one was kicked by Fleming as they moved the ball in quickly. We might see them amongst the highlights. One of the great highlights, of course, was David Green's goal. He's on in support. The big ruckman drills it forward. Reimer's got back deep in defence. Now Casserly. McCallum medal winner Casserly, by the way, fellas. Gives it off to Girdham. Girdham short. Well done, Richardson. He's provided a little bit of life on the half-forward line. Goes wide. This is Green. David Green at 50. Goes long. It's a goal. Well, that's what the Bulldogs needed. Long and direct on this oval is the only way to go. And the result is a goal.
Inside opportunity on this occasion for Fletcher. His kick is long and Pieri's got it.
Well, that's what Pieri does need to do, doesn't it? Use his strength.
15 metres. And the Redlegs, 10 minutes into the second quarter, kicked their first goal.
Hyman 54 over the top of Todd Davey, forced the handball to come out. It ends up with Rowe, in turn McIntosh. He's working hard, bends it back in forward. Now that's the kick. Centre it up here at Elizabeth Oval, and Smallbridge marks almost directly in front, about 45 metres out. The kick, it's short. Pieri on the lead. Now that's what they need to do, the Redlegs. Streamlined look, already has one. In fact, he's kicked the Redlegs' only goal. Goes goal with this time, and the goal umpire says it looks pretty good. So Pieri gets his second, and the Redlegs go to 2 goals for. Smallridge over the top of it, cops a push in the back and a free kick.
Regardless of what their match plans are, Central are forcing them into a defensive action, and Ross is, as you said, far too wide.
Their comment, Pieri marks at 50. Now look in the goal square. Dale Fleming's there all by himself. Fleming out now on the lead, and it's there. Fleming's got it. Oh, it's paid. So some terrific highlights of the first half, and I just wonder, Neville, the second half, it's anyone's game. The Redlegs haven't won out here for 12 years odd, but they're playing too wide. If they can play direct, they might just get up.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that, David. There's certainly a formula at Elizabeth Oval. In my time, we at Norwood rarely got it right, and most teams find it very, very difficult to balance the crowd, the size of the ground, and the aggression that the Dogs have at home. It's the third quarter. We're live at Elizabeth. Stephen Trigger's your commentator.
Umpire Kevin Chambers holds it up for the second 60 minutes of this round 1 clash at Elizabeth Oval. And we've got Primus and Arnold, who looks a little better, I must admit, in the centre of the ground. A little out of water at centre half forward. Norwood, the first attack of the third term. Inside half forward, Smallridge, busy during the second quarter, can't quite take a clean possession. And they dive in across the ball. And we'll have a bounce down about 55 metres out. North Adelaide at Football Park. 20 points up, and Michael, you'd have to say that at the moment is something of a surprise. West Adelaide by 24 points at Richmond is not so much a surprise.
Not at all, and the Eagles, well, they've lost a few players. Green gets the ball out of attack and pinpoints Miller, so not a good kick, and Miller's done pretty well across the half-back line. He's going to drive long. That's where they have to go down the centre. The pack flies and only a doggy up, and that is Green. Green handballs it off to Hereda. He's a fine player. Gets the handball onto Schwert. Schwert back to Hereda. They're going wide. He's got no one to kick it to. And he just pops it up and hanging on. Well, the umpires have been pretty ticky-tass. They've been consistent. And the wingman for Centrals.
Scotty Stevens to half forward. A little bit of wrestling going on. Who's got the toe? 3 Bulldogs have at the moment. Oh, Gary, you should have taken it. Left it behind. Handed off. Davey. Another short handball to Robinson, impressive at halfback. That kick's a floater. Jonathan Ross can't do a thing right today, can't get amongst the action. Hyman, Daniels, hands it off. Ross is caught. Now Fleming's got a break on Reimers, it would seem, although Reimers maybe was covering up in towards that full forward line. Rowe can't take it. Off hands a chance. Casserly hands it back towards Reimers, and a little breathing space. Thinks about a bounce, sets up a player in Hereda. Gets it back. And if they get out of that, they'll be very lucky. In fact, they've given a free kick away. So that's a bit sloppy by the Bulldogs.
Yes, Gary McIntosh did a great work. Backed his judgment and has got the free kick for too high. About 40 metres out directly in front. Going with this slight breeze. I tend to think that he may be a little bit too far out. We'll have to wait and see.
The 94 medalist from just inside 50, he'll have what breeze there is. And so he should just be able to carry the distance, you would think. 4-4 to 3-4. The Dogs with the advantage, this to square it up. When you think that we were talking about maybe you'll make it, maybe you won't, that's gone through at the top of the post. Just offline though, through for one behind. 2.5 minutes into the third quarter.
No, it's a goal.
And it's 5 points the difference.
He's put it through.
He has.
He's put it through. So, well, the umpire obviously, well, I don't know how you picked that one.
Contact lenses for you, Tricky.
You got the shades on. So Gary McIntosh kicks his first.
I look like one finger from here.
And Norwood squared away at the 4-minute mark of this third term.
With the umpire, 4-4-28 apiece, 3 minutes in, third quarter. You're live at Elizabeth on the ABC. Out of the centre, Girdham. And chucked out of the centre was Robertson. No free kick. And umpires today, Michael Abbott and Cliff Chambers. Opportunity now in ruck for Coffey. Puts it down. Or I should say in that case it was Arnold. And Coffey, his first quarter, Michael, very, very good in defence. Second quarter up forward, didn't really impress me that much.
Well, they throw him around a bit, and the Doggies not really having the opportunities they did have in that first term.
Davey gets it off quickly to Miller. He's got a player wide. That was Russell, back to Miller. Lost the footy. Beautiful work, Swert. Doesn't he work hard? Gets plenty of possessions. Girdham in there. He wants the free kick, but he won't get it. We're just 4 to centre for the Dogs.
Good work, Todd Davey. He's tough and hard, recruited from the Eagles.
The scores are tied away. Far side of the ground, big pack of players. There's not much happening at the moment. As Healy, Daniel Healy, gets it up inside half forward, and Coffey's taken the mark. Well, we talked about Grant being well suited to playing backward of the ball, and I think he is. The toughest thing for him at the moment is to be playing at full forward, but of course Arnold wasn't working and Ingerson couldn't get into the game, so they've tossed it around a bit, the Bulldogs. And Coffey will have a shot from 48 metres out. He has a good look, gives it every good chance, just slides across the front, and it's smashed through for one behind. So the smallest of margins, 4-5 to 4-4, and the Bulldogs have the break.
Well, Norwood have to do a little bit better in their defensive action there, where that Girdham was about 3 metres forward of play, and no Norwood defender picking him up.
The Dogs by a point. Toombs to the far side of the ground. And Primus, but hanging on against Arnold. Davey will hand up the footy. The Dogs just backward of 50, but not anymore. The ball wasn't returned on the full, and the 50-metre or 25-metre imposed. So a bit undisciplined. McIntosh will tell his troops about that in no uncertain manner. And if you cop a sledge from Gary McIntosh, you well and truly know you've been told off. Tell you that from experience. Short to Potter is good in space, and that is loose. Not a great advantage to the Dogs, but still undisciplined, Steve.
Absolutely, and through that second term, when the Dogs just went off the pace a bit, it was Potter, Girdham and company that just went off the boil a bit.
Punches it. He'll go very close, right on the line. Getting a big hand up was Stephen Daniels for one behind.
Good work by Daniels, and just having a look at some of the stats in that first half. Rowe with 17 and Smallridge with 16, and two of the Central's main stars were McGowan, always gets plenty of the footy with 18, and the wingman Schwert with 14.
So we're 6 minutes into the third quarter, out here on the Ponderosa, and Toombs brings it back into play. Good take by Miller, the Ponderosa being the wide expanses of Elizabeth. It's going to be short-circuited, beautifully done by Stephen Schwert. One is spare, it's Cook. He goes in the unfamiliar right leg and gets him. Cook evades it, does it well. Another one, spare is Ingerson. He'd love to get on the left leg, he does. Hands it off, oh gee, it could be a disaster. Well done, Conway. Well, if he wasn't 6 feet 6 inches tall, it may have gone across the top. Handed it into Coffey and they've got one.
Well, you'd like to get them as easy as that every time you get the opportunity. And unfortunately for the Redlegs, Jason Miller, well, took a fine grab, but the kick was intercepted by Schwert, and they were never going to miss this. Loose players everywhere. Tim Cook just handballed it on. Unselfish.
This is where it could have gone over the head, though. Look at this.
Ingerson
Whoa.
just grabs it, and Coffey, well, Wouldn't want to miss that one.
Richardson off, Richardson on for the Dogs. Gary Ellis off. Rowe battles hard, finally wins it, but doesn't really get it out of centre. Held up by a Raider. The big fella plays on quickly. Off the back line, they run it through. Kim Russell underneath it, and he'll get the drop on Stevens. This time, McIntosh from defence, half back. A quick punch, and Fletcher finds Fletcher, thanks Aishi to Harada. A chance, they'll muck it up though, almost. A big chance for Harvey as he went through quickly there. Potter, surely a free kick. Fleming works hard. The bodies are tough there now. An important third quarter. It is always an important quarter in this, well, in any grade of football. 7 minutes in and no side giving quarter.
Norwood just about to make a change. Reed to come on. Not sure who's off. No real advantage as Potter goes to ground. We'll have another ball up as the umpire takes control. Fabulous conditions at Elizabeth Oval. A little overcast earlier, but sunshine now, warm, and no real wind advantage. And preparing for the interchange, the Red Leagues. No result there. We'll have another ball up.
Gerda on screen there, just handing out some applause. And it was more than coincidence during that second quarter when he struggled to get the ball. Potter was struggling a little. Stevens dropped out. We didn't see as much either of Stevens Schwert, but the doggies struggled a bit. McIntosh is going to be denied that ball, and it will come back to Primus. So the big man, a chance to thump Norwood in. An awkward looking kick. Wakeland gives himself first access to the footy. Beautifully done, David Green. Series of handballs. McGowan, they hand it back to Wakeland again. This run is pretty good. And it's well taken by Richardson on centre wing. He's got Coffey. He's got D'Antokia. It's not the one that he wanted. And Stevens in over the top. That's the holding the ball he has.
Bad decision.
Sitting with the two Norwood boys, you wouldn't be biased, would you? Handed off by Robinson.
You know that was a shot.
Both of you shaking your heads.
You know that was wrong.
D'Antokia, and again another Central District free kick.
How can he make a decision like that when he can't see what's going on? He couldn't even see the ball.
Well, you're well aware, are you, of whether he's got vision or not? Anyway, here's Stephen Schwert. Take it, Stephen, and you're away. Gets onside the left leg, then hands it off. Looks for McGowan. McGowan into the open goal. And the Bulldogs have got their sixth on the board, so a tremendous start to the third quarter for them. 6-6 to 4-4.
Well, Norwood paying the penalty, bringing the ball into their forward lines, and what the Bulldogs do very well is when they do control it, they run it very quickly and very smoothly out of their half-back line, and Norwood are just left in no man's land, and Central just take it through and are able to put 6 points on the board most of the time. 14-point advantage as the Dogs get the benefit of the home ground. 6-6 plays 4-4. Back in the centre of the ground, Primus. Up he goes against Arnold. This time gets the knock. It rebounds around. Finally, Primus to ground again. And Central freeing up the footy a little bit better. And a little miss. Enjoying the footy. A bit bewildered about being on telly. It's okay, you look good. Mum's got the right hat on for the day. Chance now for Russell. D'Antokia, a quick left boot, puts them forward. Green behind in defence and does it pretty well. He looks to play on quickly. Norwood cover. He'll go wide to Arnold, or is that Potter? It's Arnold, and finds him. So they'll go down that far wing. Out bustled from the far side was Inglis, and Miller did that pretty well. Goes backwards. This is Rowe.
Rowe from a couple of steps, bangs it up towards half forward. Green the punch. Goes towards the line. Now there are a couple of red legs there. One of them is Todd Davey. He wheels around on the left leg, puts it up, gives Pieri a chance. Wakeland into the back. No, a little bit of aerial work. Up it goes. Handed out very, very well and quickly. A snapshot across the face of goals. Is going to stay in play. Now it's gone through. I think they've got that one right. Through for one behind. And the player who put it through was number 46.
Ashley Reid.
Ashley Reid.
Very, very easy to be critical up here, but a couple of Norwood players in the spot at the head of the square.
Central bring it into play, and they've got Girdham in the back pocket. Now he'll hug the boundary line. How closely? Too closely. It's gone over. So Norwood to bring it back into play around about 70 metres, perhaps 75 metres out from their northern end goal. Short pass and Primus. Play on at your peril because Rogers got you. Quick kick around the corner. There's the result of the pressure. And Peter Green takes it inside half-back.
He looks for Richardson. He's absolutely swamped by Redlegs. Gasly gets the ball moving very quickly, almost to touch as Miller can't control it. And he was very concerned about knocking the ball out on the full. He played that pretty well, the big fella, and had a good final part of last season at half-back. Dare say he'll stay there. He's controlled Ingerson pretty well today. He's doing the ruck work against Ingerson here. Bassett in there. Russell threw it out, wasn't seen. Swerve, Richardson. McIntosh closes. The kick is magnificent. But unable to complete it was Conway. Not much time to look. And the Dogs very aware of their jumper forward and doing pretty well in getting it to the man forward of them. 13 minutes in, we're live at Elizabeth.
Just a couple of metres around from that Central District goal. And another chance for them to pull away, but Jonathan Toombs is the one in control of the game at the moment. To centre wing he goes. Herrera, little shove. Gave himself a bit of access to the footy to punch it away. Stevens held, but still enough control. Got it away to Pyman. Schwert. Bulldogs everywhere at the moment. They're out of their kennel. Well done by Gurdon. Just picked off, though. Here now is Richardson. They've got a couple spare, but he gives it straight, would you believe, to Robinson. So it gives them a chance to Redlegs to turn it over. And speaking of turnovers, the legs can't take a trick. Green, McGowan, and back to Peter Green. Now up towards the half-forward line, or it's inside half-forward. Daniels. Toombs, quick left leg, great vision, but it's going to be picked off by Healy. He can't kick a long way. He has a look with that rangy left leg, puts it up towards the goals, and he's got it. The Bulldogs are alive here at home. 7 goals, 6. They pull a little further away. Norwood are 4-5, and we're just 14 minutes into the third quarter.
Well, Norwood can blame themselves at this stage if you can be critical of Gary Smallwood's game. He's tough, he's hard, he's always having a go. But his disposal lets him down to a certain extent, and that's another one where he didn't look, he had time, just blasted away, and Healy ended up with it and put through another one for the Dogs.
The Redlegs, 4-5, they trail 7-6, and they can blame themselves, as Michael A says, although the pressure that the Dogs have created has forced errors, and they've taken full advantage of it when they've forced the possession back from the legs. Davey leads in the race. McGowan's on his tail, but he won't have to bother. Ball is out of bounds on the far side of the ground. And patrons enjoying Elizabeth Oval in their masses today. Third quarter, an important quarter, and the Dogs have taken full advantage of it, and they've shown the way. Davey again, very busy. He's under pressure. He's tackled too high, he'll get a free kick.
Is there anything Norwood can do, Michael? They're all of a sudden they're down by 19 points. How can they pull it back?
Well, still they're not getting anything out of their forward line. I think their on-ballers are getting enough of the football. But again, they're just blasting. Jonathan Ross has given them absolutely nothing, and Fleming's not doing much up forward, so they really do just need to throw it around.
So maybe they could throw a Miller in there. They could put a Ross into the ruck. They could put him at centre half back. We're all good coaches when things aren't going well, but Craig really hasn't been under pressure to do much yet. It's been a pretty even contest. It's only been 10 minutes of footy that have seen Norwood go to the highest deficit at Elizabeth today. Schwert under pressure, a quick kick. He's good at that. Miller misses the bounce. Gurdon with a bit of pace. He'll run faster than Dantokia. Slips it around the corner. Pitt or Robertson. Robertson it was. Held his ground and pretty lucky to get that.
Strangely, neither boy either side of me up here at the moment shaking their head at that one, but there you go. Hand it up.
You're a bit disturbed about our focus on Norwood today,
Steve. Trying to find some objectivity either side. This is Kim Russell.
You won't find any here, sir.
He gets it up to half forward, and again Central are doing pretty well. They're giving themselves first dibs at the footy, aren't they? Peter Green. The further the game's gone, the more impressive he's become. Now watch Gurdon. He won't shirk the issue, neither does Miller. Just enough pressure. McGowan won't panic. Look at that. Great situational awareness. Gets it out towards Stevens. He's got one inside, and Richardson decides in the end to go right up there for Coffey. Had the big sit, couldn't take it. Richo walks into the goals. Now Coffey does, and he's got his third. Magnificent work from the Bulldogs, and Norwood are in disarray. 8-6 to 4-5.
Well, it happens most years when the Redlegs come out to Elizabeth. They're in the game for a half or three quarters, and the Doggies, they just keep pushing and pushing. And again, Coffey ends up with it, puts through like he did for his second, just a walk-up start. At the centre bounce, 8-6 plays 4-5, 17 minutes, third quarter. The Dogs taking full advantage of things at the moment. Primus in ruck, no result there. Out comes Harvey's caught, goes to ground, fighting pretty hard though, should be a ball up. McIntosh, like a dozer. Russell. And the Dogs win out again, and where there's been a bit of close football body to body, it's been the Dogs who have won those, and it's been the Dogs who have done the hard work into space. They are again. McGowan. Where is your man? Where is the man that owns Healy? Because, son, you're about to come off the ground if you keep leaving him by himself. He's second in 10 minutes. Well, the Bulldogs on fire at the moment. What are we, 20 minutes in? And they can't put a foot wrong at the moment.
And 10 minutes ago, the scores were locked up.
Yeah, well, I can't put my finger on it.
Lucky you're sitting up here. So Neil Craig with some problems. The Bulldogs with enormous expectations on them this year. So far the Doggies living up to some of that expectation. 9-6 to 4-5. 31 points the difference in a twinkling. Just 10 minutes ago we had 4-4 apiece, would you believe?
And you talk about Aish and myself maybe with a bias. I sort of remember you running around into one of these jumpers out here many years ago.
Yeah, I was waiting for that. The Eagles, of course, at Football Park are playing North Adelaide. And we're into time on in the last quarter, and they've got their noses in front, or their beaks in front. West Adelaide, great credit to Sturt at the moment, very inexperienced side. And they've pulled back West into 15 points.
Don't want to answer the question. Yes, I remember the lanky number one just prowling the wing here quite often, out on his own.
Always
regularly. Regularly.
Yeah, like the spaces.
That's enough of that, thank you, boys. Bounce down, centre half forward, another big pack of players. Central do this pretty well. They close it down inside half back, and they shoot wide and bring it back into the corridor that you were talking about just a little earlier in the day. Trying to crash his way through his row, can't do much about that. Here's a chance for Miller. Gets out of a very dubious tackle. Number 20 out there is Roger James. Can't do much with it. Pretty good pressure by the Doggies inside half-back.
They're doing the work, Michael, the Dogs, aren't they? They're just everywhere and they work in numbers. Controlled the ball for the whole of this third term, and Norwood hasn't been able to get anything going with their own ball. As Roger James fallen out of it. McIntosh has done a little bit, but Todd Davey and those guys, Ashley Reid and so on.
But even when they turn up the heat, Norwood, they just can't get a player free.
Well, they've got no firepower. No firepower at all.
So they need someone up forward to drive them at the moment. Throw in, umpire picks something up.
Taking the runner off the ground. It's the reserve umpire, or the second umpire.
I see.
Setting the Norwood runner off.
Okay, well there's a new rule in relation to runners. If they can get reported now. There's a fine of 500. Second offence is 1,000. And the Norwood runner turns around and goes straight back on. Took absolutely no notice. Yeah, it's quite disrespectful, but anyway, that's okay.
Well, it's a stupid rule anyway.
Comment.
Fair income.
Okay, Rowe with the ball. He's in all sorts of trouble. Looks for help. McIntosh, who's absolutely covered, gave it to him, holding the ball again. And Norwood, they're struggling.
We probably should explain that what Graham Dunstan, the Norwood runner, did was he was sent from the field. He took a beeline to the boundary line and then went straight back on. So he has to leave the field before he can give the second message. So I guess a new rule. They're going to be hot on it just for a little while. And Dunstan's going to have a few extra beads on the brow. Meanwhile, inside half forward, Norwood have got it. And Daniel Fletcher's got it on a very acute angle. The breeze will help him, but he's about 40 metres out.
Ashley Reid, I think. No, it is Fletcher.
Well.
So Fletcher, tucked deep in the pocket. What can he do with this? Has a good look. The umpire has a good look as well. Great kick. So Norwood get a little back. They get their fifth on the board. And you could almost hear a pin drop here in the grandstand of Elizabeth. 9-6 to Central. Norwood a 5-5. We're nearly 22 minutes into this third quarter.
And Norwood just swinging the changes. Ross has been on and off the ground. Just come back on for Fleming. So Neil Craig trying to do something to fire him up. Stephen Pitt, as we called earlier, hasn't played a lot of the game whatsoever. And as we have a look at the stats there, well, the Bulldogs come back out in front. They've got the kicks under the belt. Freeze fall very similar.
They've dominated the air, haven't they? 22 minutes into the second quarter, 9-6 plays 5-5, 60 to 35, and Norwood have to make the scoreboard just look a little bit better going into that final quarter, because the Dogs, they can smell some victory and they're really working hard. They look the part as they come off through Hereda, half back towards the centre of the ground. Richardson runs out of bounds, leaves it in, steers it, keeps it, does well, gives the footy up though. McIntosh inside, Harvey under pressure, chips short, his vision is good, very good indeed, and he finds on that occasion Reid, who will get another kick, and 25 metres to the bargain. And he comes. Looks a bit of an athlete, Reid. Pieri underneath it. He sets himself again, caught under the footy. Coming over the top was number 9, Michael Wakeland. He had too much of a jump at him. Pieri gets it back. Stolen again. The Dogs are good in defence, aren't they? This is Arnold, the big fella. Chips short. He's got McGowan.
Pretty good coaching from Alan Stewart, because Arnold's been good in the ruck and Coffey's kicked a couple at full forward, so they've worked okay. The Redlegs at half forward, they're messing around with the ball. James can't do much with it, then gets it out to the veteran halfback flanker in D'Antokia. Dribbles one forward. Look at Centrals with the numbers now. If they get out of this Norwood, they'll be a little lucky. Primus, it's going to be hard to take possession when you just rake it with the boot like that. Can't take it. And we'll have a bounce down about 25 metres out from goals.
Yes, the Eagles ran out winners over North Adelaide by 8 points. We'll just check that result. We think it might have been a little bit closer than 8 points. We'll get a final update for you on that in a minute. It's just in the forward line for Norwood, only metres out. A chance. In fact, there's the final score from Football Park, 2 points.
And in the meantime, we've got a snapshot for goal, and it's a beauty as well. So a good kick, and I think it might have been that player on screen at the moment, who is Anthony Harvey. It was. So again, they get a little back Norwood, 9-6 to Central. And Norwood are 6-5.
Well, they've got a lot of work to do. And going back about 2 or 3 minutes earlier, when Pieri had the sit again, Stephen, he just stood there, didn't find out where Wakeland was, and just gave Wakeland 3 metres jump over the top.
Well, Wakeland has too much spring in his legs, doesn't he? They need to put it to some space for Pieri, surely.
Well, I remember a number 9 that used to frequently come out of the forward lines there, knew exactly where his player was, body on body, and took quite a few.
So back in the middle, 19 points the difference. The Redlegs refuse to give in, as you'd expect. Now Jonathan Ross has been swung into ruck. D'Antokia is in the middle to try and give them some bite. And there's hardly a player out there with McIntosh at half-back who are in the places that they started in. Primus is playing from a forward pocket. Pieri's still at full forward. So Neil Craig really throwing them around. Robinson, who also has some spring in the legs. Watch this for some nifty footwork from Cook. Lost his feet, got it back. Not a bad piece of work from Green either. They pounce in there, the Redlegs. But there's a free kick going to be given, and little Timmy Cook will get it. So Cook on the left leg. Thumps it up towards half forward, where Miller has been lurking all day. He's played pretty well, and I reckon one of their best players.
Miller along with McIntosh. James fallen out of it a little bit, but probably had been their best for 3 quarters at this stage.
Throw in at half forward. Schwertz sits behind. We've seen a lot of this throughout the day. A big pack will develop, and then invariably it will be Centrals that work it best. On this occasion it's Norwood, and this is Bassett. Inside half forward. Pieri's beaten to the ball, gives a little shove out. Umpire in a good position to see it. Decided not to pay anything. Hereda, was he held? No. They've really earned it this time. Little sleight of hand. Comes to Smallridge. I think he might have snapped it. He has. So the Redlegs will not give in. And when I say Smallridge, it's only because I saw the long locks. It was Pieri who gets one on the board at the 26-minute mark.
Well, Pieri gets his third, but let's have a look at this. The umpire's paid the decision as holding on. I'm sure he's blown his whistle, and somehow Pieri's got hold of it, swung the correct way, swung into it, and managed to kick number 3.
So a couple in the second for Pieri, and one in the third. He's been pretty well covered by Wakeland. Redlegs have bounced back. They've kicked the last 3 to give themselves half a chance. 13 points the difference. Bounce down back in the centre. And again it will be Ross.
just gets a hand to it. They're doing a little better. He hands it right down the throat of Stephen Rowe, bursting through as Daniels couldn't do much with it. They hand it out from the pack. Stephen Schwert, Green, is held up pretty well. Gives it to Pyman. Decided not to give the handball, then goes to the far side, and again they found the boundary line in exactly the same spot, far side.
Yes, McIntosh to take control of the footy here. Normeath picks off. Only 3 minutes to go, so Norwood have to do something. If they go in a bit closer, there might be a chance in this last term.
So Macca wheels around, really gets some distance as well. It carried 55 metres. Free kick, and again it's a leg. It's going to be Matthew Primus. Big man, isn't he? Not a bad outing, but not as effective in ruck as Neil Craig would have liked him to have been. Right up there, bevy of Bulldogs smashed down towards the front there. A chance. Davey hands it off. Here's a chance now for Daniels to Rowe. Can he get another one? Snaps it with the left leg. It goes across the face so far, in fact, that it hits the point post and is out of bounds on the full.
Young Stephen can be fairly erratic on some of his disposals, and that wasn't one of his better ones.
I think all of Norwood would be happy, though, Michael, that he's just standing up at the moment after a shocking knee injury last year, and ditto for McIntosh. Ross floats across the front, and he's got one. First mark for the day, I suspect. It is. And he'll pump it back in with that familiar left leg. Lays back on it, gives Pieri a chance. He jumps from behind. Well, Wakeland's played pretty well. He set himself in front that time and he's got another one. Hands it off. Here's Green. Wonderful third quarter from him. He goes towards the far side of the ground. He has 13 and 10, Green. That's a fairly conspicuous start. Healy. Short passing towards centre wing. And he's got Ingerson, who's travelling some miles to get hold of the footy. They hand it back to him. Laconic, left leg in towards the centre, and here's that man again, Peter Green. You probably heard a little bit of that through the microphones. Get off him. Some parochial Bulldog supporters. And Peter Green in towards centre half forward. Ingerson sets himself, let it slip through the fingers. Quite a number of Norwood players back there. One of them's Davey, puts it up towards half forward. Girdham's got the sit, smashes it down. Now a little test of leg speed. Stephen Schwert needs a one clean take, doesn't do it, and so it's put himself under pressure. Daniels, Rowe. They'd probably love to get another one at the moment. They handed out series of handballs. It comes from Reed, working through the middle as Deam Tokia's short pass. Should have taken it to Anthony. Butters up, does okay. Gets it around on the left leg. Primus is there. Now the big giants down there in that forward pocket aren't going to get to the ball before it goes across the line.
Well, the coach would have his heart in his mouth then. But Anthony Pieri should have taken it. And as I said earlier, great evasive work by Stephen Rowe in close. He's very good.
Just has that presence, doesn't he, that in tight, nobody will lay a hand on him. Look at this from Primus. Quick snapshot. And out of bounds on the full.
Well, you caught it right, Stephen. They'd love to get one more. We're 6 minutes into time on, so not a lot of time left.
9 goals scored through the term, so yeah, it's probably 5 minutes worth of time on, which would mean there's very little time left. Maybe one more entry for Norwood if they can take a mark here and do something. They've got it, I think. And the player is Reed, who's looked okay. Had a little burst through the second term and has looked better as the game's gone on. Kick number 5 for him, and he goes towards full forward. Here's a chance. They hand it back. Stephen Rowe, he's just the man in these tight situations. Hands it back towards Jones around the body. In fact, it was Harvey. I think he might have got it. He has. Right on cue, the Redlegs. Harvey gets one. 30 minutes, nearly 31 minutes into the third quarter, and they get back to within 7 points.
Well, Harvey's kicked his second, and Norwood edged a little closer. Hasn't had a bad day, Harvey. 14 kicks, 11 marks, 25 disposal. Not a bad debut.
A bit of a chant goes up for the Redlegs. 7 points. At one stage, they were in diabolical trouble. They let Central kick 5 in a row. And to their great credit, they've bounced back and kicked the last 4. Arnold gets this one away. McIntosh, was he pushed? Umpire said yes, there might be another chance yet. The Redlegs in towards some space. Daniels can't take it. In fact, Daniel Fletcher it was, right on siren time here at Elizabeth Oval. So an entertaining third term. Saw the Bulldogs get away to a great start after McIntosh had kicked a goal at the 4-minute mark. We then saw 5 in a row from the Bulldogs, Michael, before Norwood bounced back beautifully.
Yes, full credit to Norwood. They normally just tend to relax a little bit, and that'll be one disappointing facet of their game that Neil Craig will be trying to iron out. But there's 1 quarter to go. The Bulldogs have the wind in this last quarter, probably worth 2 goals. So it should go down to the wire. It's anyone's game.
Indeed, it's anyone's game. We've got 30 minutes or thereabouts to play in this last term of round 1 here at Elizabeth Oval. It's a great scene. It's set for a beautiful last quarter. And remember to stay with us because we're here on ABC Sport.
Indeed, it should be a very, very exciting last quarter. Norwood lost their way a little bit, but finally got back. Don't forget that all matches that the ABC cover are available on video, and you can get those from the ABC shop in the Myer Centre, or dial the following number during office hours. I've got DB Mackay on the boundary line, and David, as I said, they lost their way a little bit. They got as far as 25 points behind Norwood during that quarter, but fought back, led by McIntosh, and now only trail by 7.
I was going to say, Neville, there was only 7 goals kicked by either side in the first half. We got 10 goals that quarter, so it was attacking football. And I think we mentioned at half-time it was going to be a test of fitness on an oval like this in the first game of the season. But I think the tone was set for Norwood. The opening goal by McIntosh got them away to a very good start. But what about Stephen Schwert? He set up Coffey for the goal. He set up McGowan for a goal. He ran from midfield. He did a terrific job. And you'll probably pick up some of his good work in the highlights.
Yes, indeed. And we'll go to those in a minute, David, but just before we do that, past centre-half forward, up till, say, that last 10 minutes, Norwood just haven't got anything.
No, they didn't, but I think the thing they've still got is persistence. They've just kept going at Central. I think Central sort of relaxed a little bit. They got those 3 or 4 goals. In fact, they got 5 goals unanswered mid-term, and I think they just relaxed. They got a couple of very good goals. One of them I want you to look for throughout the highlight package was the one where Schwerty set up Coffey, and then the one following that where he sets up McGowan.
By Miller, the Ponderosa being the wide expanses of Elizabeth. It's going to be short-circuited, beautifully done by Stephen Schwert. One is spare, it's Cook. He goes in the unfamiliar right leg and gets him. Cook evades it, does it well. Another one spare is Inglis, and he'd love to get on the left leg. He does. Hands it off. Oh, gee, it could be a disaster. Well done, Conway. Well, if he wasn't 6 feet 6 inches tall, they may have gone across the top. Handed it into Coffey, and they've got one.
A bit bewildered about being on telly. It's okay, you look good.
Play here's Stephen Schwert. Take it, Stephen, and you're away. Gets onside the left leg, then hands it off. Looks for McGowan. McGowan with the open goal. And the Bulldogs have got their 6th on the board, so a tremendous start for the 3rd quarter for them. Daniels, Toombs, quick left leg, great vision, but it's going to be picked off by Healy. He can't kick a long way. He has a look with that rangy left leg, puts it up towards the goal, and he's got it. The Bulldogs are alive here at home. 7 goals, 6. Just enough pressure. McGowan won't panic. Look at that. Great situational awareness. Gets it out towards Stevens. He's got one inside, and Richardson decides in the end to go right up there for Coffey. Had the big set, couldn't take it. Richo walks into the goal. Now Coffey does, and he's got his 3rd.
Body to body, it's been the Dogs who have won those, and it's been the Dogs who have done the hard work into space. They are again McGowan. Where is your man? Where is the man that owns Healy? Because, son, you're about to come off the ground if you keep leaving him by himself. He's 2nd in 10 minutes.
They hand it back. Stephen Rowe, he's just the man in these tight situations. Hands it back towards Jones around the body. In fact, it was Harvey. I think he might have got it. He has. Right on cue, the Redlegs. Harvey gets one.
Yeah, some great highlights from the 3rd quarter. All set here for the final quarter. Let's just have a look at the scoreboard. Been nothing in it. It's been 8 points, 6 points, and 7 points going into the final quarter.
And let's have a look at the goal kick as well. Pierre's done pretty well for the legs at this stage, kicking 3. And Harvey on debut kicking 2, and singles to Fleming, Fletcher and McIntosh. And Coffey, well, he's had 2 gimmies, but he's done pretty well after moving from the back line's got 3. Healy's kicked 2 beauties in 2, and singles to Conway, Cook and McGowan. And let's have a look at those stats. They're pretty close at half-time. 3/4 time, nothing much in it again. Only 2 kicks separating the 2 sides. And let's have a look at the handballs, only 4. So very, very close, as the score would indicate. And hit-outs and frees 4. So there's nothing in it whatsoever.
Thanks, Rowdy. David Mackay's on the boundary. 22 more marks the Dogs have had over Norwood, that might tell the story, David.
I think they have had the strength in the air, but I think it's been more the fact that they've pinpointed their passes. Often many of those marks have been chest marks, but let's think about it. At half-time, the Redlegs were behind in possessions pretty substantially, so they obviously lifted their work rate in that third term, and there's only been a kick or so in it from quarter time to three-quarter time. This is still anyone's game.
David Healy, a couple of goals in 10 minutes. It just shows you how spectacular he can be if he's left alone.
Well, he's a running, rangy type of player, isn't he? And the one he kicked from the far side, the left footer, was a very difficult one. Then he ran on in this pocket, and that was also a great goal. And they were both long goals. And to be blunt, they're the only two running long goals we've seen today. And I think that's something that both coaches will need to work on. They'll need their wingmen, centre-line players and ruck rovers kicking longer goals.
Would Alan Stewart be critical of their last 10 minutes? They almost could have wrapped the game up.
No doubt about it. I think 20-minute mark, they had the game won. In their keeping, they just relaxed a little bit. They could have played the boundary when the Redlegs got one quick goal. They didn't, and they've paid the penalty. They've let the Redlegs back into this game.
Thanks, David. All set for the final quarter. Get ready for a big ride here at Elizabeth Oval. It'll be a magnificent final quarter. Your commentators are Michael Aish, and to take up the call, Stephen Trigg.
Perfect conditions for the last term. Just a little breeze from right to left. And it's a rhetorical question, Michael, but I'll ask you anyway. Who do you think is going to win?
Well, I've been through this time and time and again, and I think Central's had the better during the day, and I can see them just edging. Just interesting to note, I was going to say Girdham and Potter fallen out of the game in the last two quarters. You can see they're both in the middle at this stage.
ABC Sport bringing you the last term live from Elizabeth Oval. And we're set for what should be a beauty. Jonathan Ross is in ruck. He smashes it towards centre-half forward, gives them a chance. They'd love to get away to a brilliant start by kicking a goal. Daniels gets it in short, and they've got a couple of spares ahead of the play. But Harvey, who's been conspicuous, decides to go it alone, and Pieri, I think he's got it. Gee, it looked like he had it for a moment. But to the umpire's credit, he was sitting in perfect spot and decided to let it play on. So we'll have a bounce down about 15 metres out from the Norwood goal. Just 7 points in it. Foundation Cup prize money on this game as well. From Foundation SA, here's a chance into the open goal. The Redlegs away to a great start. Second goal on the board for Harvey. One in the third, one in the fourth, and he's away. And in fact, it's his third goal inside a minute of the last term. And the Redlegs get within a point.
Great work by Harvey. Have a look at this. He's pushed through, crumbed it beautifully, just tapped it on. And with possession number 26, has put through number 3.
So the Redlegs, they close the gap to within 1 point, and halfway through that third quarter, as we discussed at three-quarter time, they trail by 25 points, and they look like going down the drain like so many Redleg sides have here over the years, remembering they haven't won since '83 at Elizabeth Oval. Let's see if they can turn their luck around today. Todd Davey puts a high one in. Being attacked by pigeons in the grandstand here. All the Dogs go and crash through. Stopped by Smallridge on that occasion. This is Davey. Gets advice from McIntosh to give to Miller, and does underneath it. And doing it pretty well on that occasion was Reed.
Fletcher's done some great work there, Neville, off the ball in shepherding.
His kick through the centre of the ground. And almost has he taken it. Not quite. Primus. Rowe. Great tackle, Stevens. Ross, Pieri, and out of bounds. So the Redlegs with a run.
They've found something at the moment.
Well, there's been big drama at Football Park. After the siren, the umpires have changed their minds on the score, and the Eagles have won by 3 points.
And at Richmond Oval, West Adelaide are around about 7 goals in front. In fact, exactly 7 goals of its 42 points as David Green back here at Elizabeth gets it from half-back, pushes it forward. Richardson does pretty well. Gives himself front spot and first ability to use the ball. Now he's got it at half-back, having taken the mark. Goes towards centre wing, gives Ingerson a chance. Should have taken it in the hands. Miller got a chance to smash it away. Smallridge, just a little sloppy. In fact, it was a little sloppy on him before that, obviously, and he's got a free kick at half-back. Went to Perth last year, now back in the red and blue colours. Working his way through is Reed. The protection's pretty good also from Harvey. Left leg inside, gives Pierre a chance. Good take. At the 15-metre line, plays it on intelligently, gives another chance for Harvey. I like the way he plays, hands it across the top to Rowe. He's in trouble. Wakeland besets upon himself. Around the corner it goes from Harvey and through for one behind. So what have we got? A tied ball game, 9-6 apiece. 3.5 minutes into the last quarter, and now you'd have to say it's anybody's game.
Well, the Redlegs got the momentum at the moment, and Harvey doing good work again. Rowe getting themselves into trouble. Has had plenty of the footy. 26 possessions also.
A real ball game on our hands here at Elizabeth. Short kick. Casserly with the ball. Having a look, play onto the call. We can hear it from here. The umpire very, very vocal. And getting back, Ross underneath the footy. He's been paid. He just doesn't, I'd just like to see him wrap that ball up just a little bit stronger overhead. Having a look at where to go. Sends it back in. Rowe to Crumb in the front. Primus, but the ball it drops short. And nobody picks it other than Pyman. And hasn't been outstanding today, but he's been solid. Normally is. Good contestant. Oh, what do you go? Have a look at that. Well, that's what he can do, Jonathan Ross.
Have a look at this. Had the set. Takes a beauty.
So on the far side, Daniels has it in hand. As you can see, he's just across the boundary and he'll put it up towards the 50-metre line. Reed sets himself, beautifully done, Smallridge, set himself in the perfect front spot, bounces high. Herrera read it the best, then hands it off. They need some protection for a ball carrier here. They're not going to get it. They're working very hard at the moment, Norwood, inside that full forward line to keep it in. They've given the free kick away, and it will be taken by a Bulldog in Michael Wakeland. So Central, who finished third last year, their first semi-final against Norwood, as Richardson takes it to the half-back, which was a winning first semi-final, their first win in the final for 22 years, remember. That's in the back if you don't mind. Gurdon did it well, used his body.
Stevens looks like he's in a bit of trouble.
Yes, he looks like he got a knee right up the buttocks.
Gurdon plays it on towards 50. They need a take from Coffey. I think he's got it. Play on, says the umpire. He said that two players had a hold of the ball. And Grant Coffey, as you can see, isn't particularly impressed.
He had plenty of that ball. They were a bit unlucky.
Yeah, more than unlucky. Wrong decision. Big grab that. And pretty clear too. There he is, Grant Coffey, number 2. Played forward and back today for the... and kick 3 for the Dogs. 6 minutes in, final quarter, live to air. The ABC at Elizabeth Oval. The Redlegs, can they get home? The first time since 83 out here. Oh, big catch. On goes Dantokia. James now punches one forward. He's got Ross, or he's got Reed. Reed it is. Oh, God! Next in line, Harvey under terrible pressure. Rowe the crummer. Coming in is Green. It's David Green. They've got 2 of them, the Dogs. Richardson, McIntosh. McIntosh will stay with him. Rex his forward plans. Dantokia. Backwards, Robertson across the ground is good, dangerous but good. Kim Russell wants to go on. And yeah, I thought he did it well, Stevens, but probably worked the 25 there, Aishi.
Without a doubt, he knew he was in trouble.
Kimmy Russell from the middle of the ground, the heart of Elizabeth, pushes up towards half forward. Now the Bulldogs are under pressure all of a sudden. They've budgeted on winning every home game this year, and that includes obviously this one. Casserly hands it off to Schwert. Need a little bit extra from Stephen. Need a little bit extra from Tim Cook as well as he gets it half back to half forward. Miller's been standing very tall and firm all day. I've loved his game. Hands off to McIntosh. Great protection by Dantokia. The Bulldogs have stopped chasing. They've stopped working at the moment. McIntosh half forward. Spare one is Bassett. And he takes a great diving mark.
Bassett in his second year had a great debut last year. Carried on the good work.
Might have also hit the ground in between, but nonetheless it's played on up towards half forward. That doggy defence is under all sorts of pressure at the moment. Little shove in the back. The umpire says play on. Intelligently lets it run at the moment. Smallridge takes it, carried 10 if that. And the man with the curly locks puts in a short pass. It's not bad. Short circuited though by Herrera. They work in over the ball with Potter. He gets a free kick.
scores are tied at Elizabeth. And it can't get any tighter than this. Coffey a poor kick, but he was under pressure. Robertson, Russell and Robertson pretty tight, but they get through almost. Wakeland lost his feet. Harvey the advantage, clever chip. Brilliant football to legs. Brilliant football, Harvey.
I tell you what, you called it perfectly, Neville. This Harvey isn't a bad player. Brother of Robert, the fine St Kilda player, and he's very cool under pressure.
Well, I said earlier he was the best player for Norwood, and I got that he didn't use the footy well. Might have been right earlier, but he has settled down and he's using it pretty well at the moment. And Reed's absolutely butchered that ball. And that's a real advantage. Scores are tied. Conway off. Reamer's back on the ground. See if he can't lift them.
High drama at Elizabeth. We've got the scores tied away, 9-6 apiece. Central have a little breeze, but they look flat at the moment. Norwood a little head of steam up themselves. From the back pocket, it's Tim Cook. He thumps it high and long. Jonathan Ross sets himself. Who's got the poise in the tight situation at the moment? Potter, quick kick. Who can take the mark here? It looks like Ingerson can. He does it pretty well. Oh, gee, the umpire said play on. Schwert knew there was a player there to Richardson. Now McGowan's got some space. He needs it for him to sit. Won't do so. They turn it over. D'Antokia. Toombs. Quick kick forward and Davies in the front spot. They're doing it pretty well, the Redlegs. Daniels around the corner, but Wakeland should take this one.
Pierre played that terribly. He was dropping back on Wakeland when forward of the play, young Fletcher was on his left boot, Michael.
Yep.
Not smart.
Not good.
Jeez. I don't know why a player would do that. I mean, player's on his left boot, and Pierre's 50 metres away and running away from him. He's got to go at the player with the footy into his vision, make it easy for him.
Plenty of tension in the crowd at the moment. 10.5 minutes into the last quarter. So important to get away to a winning start. Both these clubs would love to do just that. Stevens takes it ahead of the play, and again, if that carried 10, I'd be surprised indeed. The umpire says play on. Up towards half forward. Richardson, the big chance. Smashed away by Daniels. Not quite taken. Daniel Fletcher, that was. Kicked forward. Now here's a chance. The Bulldogs with Scott Stevens just panicked a little, thumped it forward indiscriminately, very poorly in the end, and it's picked off by Miller.
Miller has D'Antokia wide, and Rowe with a bounce. Watch for Pitt, couldn't take it. James intelligently down, advantage. Free kick to Pitt, third bounce, fourth bounce, fifth bounce, short, has Fletcher. Can't believe the inaccuracy of the kick. A chance, Pierre. Pyman will wrap it up.
Oh, they butchered that.
Opportunity, wasn't it? Big opportunity.
Well, Roger Jones has had a great day, but who wasn't it? Harvey or Fletcher just sitting in the spot, and wasn't a good.
They'll remember that one, Steve, if they lose the Redlegs.
Just took a little easily, didn't they? Another chance, though. As Reed pushes it up there. Plenty of hoots coming from the crowd at the moment. The game's alive. Exclusive on ABC Sport this game. Another chance for the Redlegs. Healy hands it off. Peter Green's been pretty good. The umpire calls play on. Cook. Plenty of time now. Unusual for this stage of the game. It's been so tight. Up towards Coffey. Takes it at 50. Now get it in there quickly, Grant. Give them a one-out chance. Or do you think you can kick it? I think it looks pretty positive about it. Not a bad outing. 3 goals, 14 marks, or 14 kicks and 7 marks. This would take his very, very best kick. He'd want a slice of the right post, and he'd want to thump himself into it. Well, I stand corrected. I thought he needed to get it in quickly, but he knew far better. Could carry the distance and did so adequately. Gets 4 for the afternoon, and we've still got about 20 minutes to run.
Well, he's kicked that 55 metres. And that is a beautiful trick. The crowd comes alive, as Stephen said. A crowd of about just over 3,000 has seen the Bulldogs edge out to a 5-point lead.
(10-6) plays 9-7, only 5 points in it, 1 straight kick, and the lead could change several times. Ingerson gives it up to McIntosh, and you can hear the sighs in the stand. A loose bounce,
favours Davey. Fletcher, he will stay over the footy. He's pretty tough. Davey there. Numbers will count. Fletcher, a chance. With him and doing it pretty well was Green. That's Peter Green. Pieri, beautifully done. Wakeland, opportunity for the Redlegs. They're forward, desperate stakes. And the fans enjoying it. And we hope you're enjoying it too at home. Live on ABC. The Dogs by 5 points. Throw in forward pocket. Potter went for the big one. Gurdon. Throw was the call from Smallridge. And the Dogs have the free kick. Ingerson the swerve. Comes off.
Stephen Schwert, delisted by the Crows. Opted to stay at Central. And should be a wonderful contributor for them through the year. Healy can't take it. And it's thumped over the line. We've got 5 points to difference. Central are 10-6, Norwood are 9-7.
What Norwood have to do here is they've put in the good work to get back in that third term. They've just got to knuckle down and stay in close.
Well, there's tons of time left. We've played around 15 minutes into this last term. And we know that the Redlegs can turn it on. We thought they were out of business in that third term, and then they rattled on 4 in a row to put themselves back in contention. 14 and a half minutes into the last term. Bounce down on centre wing. Reimers. Schwert. It's being called set upon. Stephen Rowe, that's holding the ball. Good decision. And McGowan, who's one of the best tacklers in the business, gets it in front of this member stand here at Elizabeth Oval. Now he's got Coffey, feigns, gets around, does it pretty well. Should give him just a little bit of extra distance. Where's Coffey? Not quite this time. Bassett drifts across the front, some heavy work from the ball. Nathan Bassett's going to be claimed as well and will go for holding the ball.
Good body work, the Dogs.
Schwert thumps it up there, gives a chance to Ingerson. He's got himself set, can't quite get there, just a few metres short. Now McGowan, poised. Oh, gee, that wasn't so poised, but in the end it's found Coffey. Around the body he goes. He has 4 for the afternoon, won't add to that at the moment. It rolls off towards the line. Cook can't get there before it finds it.
Well, McGowan, you'd pick him to hit someone from there, wouldn't you?
Well, I'm not so amused that he didn't actually see Coffey there and obviously just slide off the boot.
Probably a good description of what happened, Rowe. Not being an expert, I wouldn't challenge you, actually, but let's have a look at him now. He's only 30 out, and the Dogs by 5 points. This would put them in a commanding position, and we're 15 in. Has 1 goal, renowned for his number of possessions and his high skill level.
Said 28 touches.
It's a good day out, isn't it, at 28 touches. He won a few awards last year for the number of stats that he got, and he's well on target after game 1.
In he comes. Line. And would have got my money on that, being the sort of player he is. The situation commanded that sort of player to kick that goal, and he'll remember that if they don't win this game, I can tell you.
Well, I reckon the Dogs have wrestled a bit of the initiative back from the legs at this stage. And what Norwood have to do is just get a little bit tougher at the footy.
Yes, it very much comes down to a matter of desire now, because if you've played this game, you'll know how tough it is on the first outing. It's just not the same trials and real games. The lungs would be bursting at the moment for all 36 out there on the park. Miller. Jonathan Ross, a little touch of class, does it pretty well. Now they've got some runners. Well done, Jonathan. Decided not to use the runners in the end. He looked for Reed, but it wasn't all that flash because it was smashed away by Green. Now Davey gives some ground to make some space around the body. He's got a chance now with Roger James. Hereda. Where's the runner? It's Wakeland. They did it pretty well. He peeled off very well. As soon as Wakeland saw that Hereda had the ball in hand, he peeled off. Now they've got one spare. It's Stevens. Short pass. There's the spare one. It's Green. A little quieter in the last term. Thumps it up towards the full forward line. If it got out the back, Arnold was in business, but it didn't. Well done by the Redlegs. McGowan. Ingerson flicks it up. Not quite the mobility for Arnold, and the Redlegs out of trouble just for the moment through Jonathan Toombs.
Yes, he got it from McIntosh underground. Reimers high. Couldn't take it. Green around.
Tackle.
And good description, Michael Aish. It was a good tackle. And it was Miller who laid it on.
He'll play on quickly. He's got his skipper to the left. And Macca puts it up high. Green at the back. Reed there as well. And we'll have a ball up quickly on centre wing. Eastern boundary. And it's the Dogs by 6 points. One clear kick. A tight match. It's been tight all day. 8 points separated them at the first quarter. 6 in the second. 7 in the third. And still 6 now. So 25 points was the biggest margin. 15 minutes into the third quarter. It's amazing how I remember all this, isn't it?
Yes, you've done well. Give yourself a pat on the back. Another update for you. At Richmond Oval, West Adelaide have blown that margin out to 49 points against the Blues. Looks like they're set for a first-up win at home. McGowan can't take it. Gets it from Gurdon. We see a bit of that combination from time to time. Across the top, Stevens started beautifully, then faded somewhat. They just bundle it forward. Now McIntosh, he puts in the short ones to work it back. This is the stage of the game where it starts to hurt, and Macca can still make himself work hard. He does it pretty well, bundles it towards the line. Cook was equally effective, and in the end they do find the line. I was going to say, Michael, that Norwood's first 3 games, they play Central, Glenelg and Port Adelaide, so it's a pretty tough and very important 3 games for them.
Well, you'd like to win at least one, and the coach would love to have that, and wouldn't like to have it any other way.
Yes, the possibility is that they can lose all 3 too, and winning out at Elizabeth is like getting 2 games. Some young supporters here at Elizabeth, amongst the 3,000 odd crowd. Good conditions. The Dogs by 6 points. You're live on ABC Sport. Half back for the legs. Reimer's in ruck against Miller, who takes the option to go out of bounds. Maybe he had no other.
And interesting that we just saw Anthony Pieri taken from the ground. So Neil Craig obviously thinks he needs a little more mobility or something up the front. The only thing is that it's hardly getting up there, is it?
Well, it wasn't. I think he was concerned previously because the last ball that came in, Wakeland just ran off him so easily, and on this ground it's dangerous.
Absolutely. Here's Richardson. Played pretty well from half forward, keeps the head down, puts it in short, but it's just a little too far over the head of Coffey. They work back, support required for Toombs. It comes in the form of Daniel Fletcher round the body. Gee, that could have been dangerous. Picked off, not quite, by Healy, and the Redlegs get a bit of a breath.
I tell you, that's not a bad move by Coach Craig. I think he's put, Dale Fleming, and he can take a grab, so he's a lot more mobility and can take one in the air.
Yeah, there's probably only a couple of opportunities for the Redlegs left, and they've got to maximise them. Ball in the air or on the ground. If they get it forward, they'll want to hold it in. The Dogs the same though, and at the moment, you have to say that at the 21-minute mark of the final quarter, the Dogs are just handling the pressure just a little bit better, but unable to kick clear. This is Gurdon, puts it in high, opportunity for plenty of Dogs. The Redlegs tight. Up it goes. Healy, Swirt. Might be the game, set, match. His first.
Well, Stephen Swirt, as we called it, delisted by the Crows, a very fine player. But when we look at that boundary setup just before we miss it on the replay there, is that Miller's come in late, and we had Gurdon all by himself along with 1 or 2 others, and all they had to do was hit it to them, which they did, and a free run at goal.
Well, they've handled the pressure better, and there's proof of it. Persistence.
So Norwood are going to have to get 2, and they'd want this exit from centre square pretty smartly. 22 minutes into the last term. Schwert takes off after it. Stevens misses it. And so Stephen Schwert gets it, gives it to Cook, gets it back. They're prepared to share it around. Well done by Gurdon. Now watch him slow it down. 17 possessions for Gurdon.
Yes, and hasn't one of his bigger days, but he's a tough player and a great captain.
Well, the Bulldogs have got it down the right end at the moment, or the correct end for them. The breeze is fluky. It's probably worth a couple at the moment, so Norwood are going to have to work extra hard up into that breeze as Roger Gurdon just sports a blood nose at the moment. Here's a chance for them. Potter round the body. It's going to be taken by Coffey right alongside the point post. So Coffey, who has 4, he'll take all the time in the world also. You can bet on that. The breeze will help him. is probably, despite the angle, an even money bet, and you'll get a good look at it. Gives himself a bit of space. I think he might have jagged it inside just off the instep. He has. 3 for 1 behind. But as they say, a pretty handy point. 13 points the difference.
Yes, well, the Bulldogs tend to do it. They've had the better of the day. They eked out a 25-point lead in that third term, and Norwood's hit back. They might have spent too much petrol. Still 5-6 minutes to go.
And Grant Coffey in screen. The difference between the two sides, a kick 4 and has done it pretty well. Daniels brings the ball back in. Big pack. Loose ball. McIntosh at the feet of the pack. Dantokia gives it off. Robertson, McIntosh again. The Red Leagues go forward. They're going to have to make the most of it all.
Sensational vision.
Todd Davey. Oh, the kick. Not the kick required in this situation. And yards only gained out of that. We're at centre wing. It's out of bounds. And we're nearly at time on. Right in front of the members here at Elizabeth. Which can be awesome if you're not in a red, blue and white jumper. James with a chance. So too Casserly. Caught to ground, too high to call. And the youngster gets the free kick. With that he's got cramp. Swirt might take it.
Casserly has a good season. 2 youngsters there, and James and Casserly both acquitted themselves very well.
Casserly from half-back. Intelligently keeps it wide. Reimers provides the option, and Miller belts it towards the line. So Norwood are running out of time. We're right on the doorstep of time on. And Miller does battle with Reimers. Stephen rode through that. The umpire saw it. So the momentum is fairly and squarely at the moment with the home team as Potter gets it up towards half-forward. Healy got it from the spoil. Well done by Schwert. Gives it to McGowan. There's a little test on the left leg, and that is a beautiful kick. Wonderful skills. Rick McGowan gets his first for the day. The Bulldogs have shown it up. 12-8 to 9-7.
That was actually his second. And McGowan's had a good day. 33 possessions. He's always going to get the touches. He runs all over the ground. He's not quick, but every time he touches the footy, something happens with it, as was the case then. Schwert involved as well, and Healy, who's kicked 2 beauties around the corner and puts through the doggies number 12.
So tough times for Norwood now. 26 minutes into the last term, and it's a 19-point advantage to the Dogs. Kim Russell comes in from centre wing, wobbles one forward. Good spoil away by David Green. Potter works back. Can't quite get to it. And the desperation on display there. And it's just a bit more typical of the Bulldogs last term, I think, Michael. They've wanted the ball just that little bit extra.
Apart from the first 5 minutes when Norwood had their chances, Central's got a sniff and has carried it through. And great work there, I think it was by Casserly.
Ingerson does some work with Primus. Raked back by Hereda. Good vision by Roger James to Harvey. Short pass is going to be picked off by David Green. So the Bulldogs have got it all over them at the moment. It's been a gallant effort by Norwood, but they just can't find any penetration through that half-forward line at the moment. Jonathan Ross has been better in ruck. He's defeated comprehensively at centre half-forward. It's a bit awkward from Matthew Primus. It's gone over the line on the full.
Well, they haven't had any forwards all day, really, Norwood. They've done pretty well to get this close. But over the years, they've fought back. Centrals have fought back, and they just can't seem to crack it for a win.
There'll be some tired boys tonight because it is warm and that ground is very hard. As I mentioned earlier, the first game always takes the breath away. Big time. Out the back it goes. Dantokia a chance. And there's nobody behind him, no runners at all to feed it off to. So he does just the right thing, wheels around and sends it up to half-forward. Pretty well done by Smallridge. They're into his back. Potter does it well. Hands it off. Peter Green to Casserly. Should have given the handball to Hereda, but still bundles it forward okay. Meeting the ball well is Fletcher. In fact, it's Daniels. Hands it back. And he picks it up again. Not a bad piece of work. So down from full-back was Stephen Daniels. Well read by Harvey. Around the body he goes. It's getting to very much last chance stakes, if at all there's any hope for Norwood at the moment. Here now is Daniel Fletcher, works back, can't take it. And Casserly relieves some pressure. Comes out towards Richardson or Wakeland. And Tim Cook has it at centre-half back.
Cook with the ball. He'll slow it down. We've got this game in the bag. Goes straight down the centre of the ground. Looking for Richardson. And Robinson, great hands. Been pretty solid back there. Plays it on Dantoki again across the half-back line. He gets the handball on. Harvey's going to get caught. Throws it to Davey. Davey's got no one. Yes, Dantoki backing up. Goes straight through. Who have they got in there? Beautifully smothered by Potter. Smallridge has had a good day. On his right foot. Yes, and there's the siren. And a great win to the Bulldogs. They're a happy bunch. 19-point victory. 12-8-80 to the Rednecks. 9-7-61. And another year goes beating for the Rednecks to win out here at Elizabeth Stephen.
Yes, we made the point that they hadn't won out here since 1983. It's a long time, and I know that the vintage of 95 is going to be much different to the vintage of 83, but the bottom line is that the Bulldogs, whether it is now or 13 years ago, they just love playing at home, don't they, Michael?
They certainly do, and David on the boundary line.
Thank you, Neville. Roger Gurnham, captain of the Central side. Congratulations.
Thanks
Great
very much.
victory.
Yeah, it was a good win.
Well, it wasn't always in certainty, that's for sure. You let them get back after being 25 points up midway through the third quarter. You let them get back within 7 points at three-quarter time.
Yeah, that's right. I thought our third quarter was pretty good, but the last 5 minutes we slacked off a bit. To Norwood's credit, they got right back into it. It was a bit of a scrappy game, but it's good to come home with the 2 points.
Well, Alan Stewart said this year's game plan was to be tough and hard and direct. You were certainly tough and hard, but I thought at times indirect.
Yeah, you're right there. I thought we attacked the footy all right, but we didn't really give our forwards a chance today. I thought Ingo had a bit of a scrappy game, and that's probably why we didn't deliver it to our forwards today, but that's something we're going to have to work on.
Well, one of the things I thought was a highlight, Grant Coffey, who only played 6 games last year and kicked 6 goals for the whole season, kicks 4 today in not quite a match-winning performance, but a very strong effort.
Yeah, well, Coff's put his mind to it this year, and he's as fit as he's ever been, and he's going to have a great year.
I thought, just looking through your recruits, Justin Casserly out of a back pocket is a real find.
Yeah, I thought Cass had a real good year last year in the Bees, and I thought he was pretty stiff not to get a league game, but he's earned his spot, and he did really well today for a young fella.
And Peter Green, the boy from the Sydney Swans and Carlton Reserves, you would have been happy with a solid effort first up.
Yeah, Greeny's tough and hard at the ball, and when he gets a chance, he runs right through and he takes whoever's in front of him with him, so sets a good example.
And the other big fellow, Mark Conway, the big full forward from Wagga, really didn't get into the game at all.
Yeah, well, Connors didn't have much time on the ground, I suppose, but he's got a bit of work to do. He's still not quite as fit as he'd like to be, but he's got a ton of talent, a beautiful grab, and he's a nice kick. So
it looked a pretty tough game from out here. The middle of the ground, particularly where all the action was, it was tough. It was in close football. It wasn't pretty, but it looked very tough.
Yeah, it was damn hard to get the ball out the middle. I think Norwood were probably on top in the middle, to be honest with you, but it was real scrappy sort of a game, but they're the ones you got to win.
Now, you lost your opening game here last year against Port Adelaide. I think the margin was 46 points. It got you off on the wrong foot. Today's win must get you off on the right leg.
Yeah, well, that's right. I thought last year we probably didn't have as good a build-up as what we would have liked. We only had a couple of pre-season trials. I think we only had 1 trial against another club, but this year we've had 3 or 4 good hit-outs, and I think we're a lot better prepared this year.
Well, Stewie seems to think, we asked him midweek whether or not the players were going to have a letdown after that loss against Port Adelaide in the final last year, or whether it would spur them on. He thought it would spur you on and drive you to greater heights this year. Can you go all the way and win a flag?
I can't see why not. I thought we were pretty stiff last year. I mean, when you lose, that's it. But, we've really learnt from that last year, and we've had the best pre-season since I've been at the club. I don't know how long that is, a few years, but we had a real good pre-season this year, and everyone's looking forward to a good year.
Roger, it was a tough, hard-fought win. You earned it the hard way. Blood spattered over the top of your jumper. Congratulations, and thanks very much for your time.
Thanks very much.
Back to you, Nev.
Yes, he's a hard worker, isn't he? And they deserve it out here today. They handle the pressure much better. Just to get you up to the date, the Eagles have defeated North Adelaide by 3 points, and West Adelaide are about 55 ahead of Sturt at the moment. Of course, last night Glenelg drummed Port Adelaide by 92. We'll just take you through the scoreboard here at Elizabeth Oval. They got away to a good start, the Dogs. They left by 8 points at half-time. Nothing in it, just 6, 7 at three-quarter, and they actually got 25 points ahead during that three-quarter time. Norwood came back. The final quarter, plenty of pressure, but the Dogs too good in the end by 19 points.
And in terms of goals, Grant Coffey led the way for Central District. He had 4, had a number of possessions around the ground, but ended up at full forward. Kicked 4. Healy and McGowan had a couple. And for the other side, well, Norwood had Pieri at full forward, taken from the ground in that last term. He had 3. and young Harvey, who looks a real find, had 3 as well.
It's interesting to have a look at the stats there. Well, very close order. In fact, Norwood just 4 kicks in it, and the handball's not a lot in 3. So very tight game, but Central District, obviously, with their height, able to take a lot more grabs. Norwood in the hit-outs. Matthew Promise taken off the ground in the last quarter was probably not a good move, but in the end, Central District's far too good.
Yeah, so there it is at Elizabeth Oval, our live telecast, 2 to 5 today. Don't forget next week to join us from Woodville Oval. We'll see the Dogs again as they take on the Eagles from 2 p.m. So 2 to 5, a big chunk of live footy. And David Mackay, Michael Ace, Stephen Trick and myself will join you. Thanks for your company. It's been, I hope you've enjoyed last night and today as much as we have enjoyed bringing it to you. And we'll see you next week at Woodville.